And every glove that cut him cried out. Little bit of Rita's what I need. Hey, Ray, good to see you over on Twitch. Sorry, guys, if you're saying hey on YouTube, I'm just popping out the chat. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It is a sunny day here in the UK. I'm wearing my fancy new shirt that I bought this weekend. I hope you guys like it. I think it's pretty dripped out. Oh, I shouldn't have tried to stand up. I've just caused issues. Hold on. Every glove that cut. Hello, Riders on the Storm. Is it not Riders of the Storm? That is a banging song from a quality band, The Doors. I love The Doors. See you all on Twitch. See you over on YouTube if you're staying over here. Indefinite Ceasefire. Yeah. I saw a Bad Empanada post about, like, how if you do different titles, people always, like, people always prefer them. What are your thoughts on the lifetime smoking ban? People will always smoke. Smoking's bad. We should stop smoking. But yeah, people will always smoke is my main issue, and people will just find illegal ways to get it, you know. People will just get people to buy them for them. Chris hates YouTube chat. Well, I saw them. You been to River Island, lad? Shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. I didn't mean you look bad, though. Exactly. I wore a shirt, and this is how I'm treated. I am unhappy about this title. It's late as shit in Australia for this. I know. Nothing makes sense. Ceasefire, Iran attacking, peace this week according to Trump. Who knows? It's all incoherent babble. Hello, the worst Emily. Hello, Nox. Hello, everyone who's over on Twitch. And hello, everyone on YouTube. How can you not smoke in this world? Like, I mean, I don't smoke. I don't smoke, so it's hard to quit. I mean, yeah, I always saw kids smoking ciggies, so it's yeah. Right. Addicted to the damn TikTok lives again. I know. It's working for bringing some people over again, which is nice. Did you see Millet dance and sing for Netanyahu? I did see Millet dance and sing for Netanyahu. It's pretty crazy. It's intriguing as all hell watching him dance and sing for Netanyahu. I do think that the funny thing about Millet, if you haven't seen Javier Millet dancing and singing for Netanyahu, I don't think I can show you because he's probably singing some copyrighted song, but there were photos of him with D9 driver known for videos from a ruined and shattered Gaza declaring you'll have nothing left, and they were dancing together for Israeli independence. And if you didn't see, Javier Millet has been kissing the wall. He's also been giving a show, which I think watching on mute might have the same effect. What I don't get is, it's pretty evident that Millet's mic is not working, is it not? Thank you for saying I look good. I find it hard to watch television where they constantly smoke now. But I think that this is great because this is what Israel is destined for. And good morning, Jules. I think that this is what Israel is just destined for. This odd pariah state whose only allies are the deranged world leaders. I mean, it is very odd, but yeah. Does T mean a testosterone break? Why do you have to take testosterone breaks? I remember you saying you're trans, but why do you have to take testosterone breaks? Just like a question. Can you not consistently take it or something? Did you shop at Top Man? Why did that message get retracted? What is this cringe? Well, Javier Millet is also not singing. Listen. Amazing. Hello, RJ. Hello, Drac. Tolerance for... Oh. Oh. Oh, I see, I see. I thought you were saying a testosterone break. Yeah, they were talking about a different tea. Sorry. I got fried chicken from Kroger lunch, for lunch, thanks. What the hell is Kroger? Is it good fried chicken? The UK has okay, Wingstop is good in the UK. I haven't had Wingstop in so long. Oh, I'd love a Wingstop. Yeah, what is with the sun on the Argentinian flag? Testosterone, yeah, I wish I was on T. The way I'd be looking if I was on T would be incredible. Oh, yeah, that makes sense, actually. I got my black belt Friday. Congratulations. You must use this to for a Butlerian jihad against Israel, your newly found black belt. So we've got a few interesting stories to start the day off. First of all, have any of you seen the people who made Bionicles writing in English, who are all second language English, talking about Bionicles? So these are the people who made Bionicles talking about the Paraka models. So this is a Paraka prototype is this. So this is what a Paraka model is. Anyway, how do we see the Paraka models? They are really cool. By far the best villains so far. Their smile is fantastic. They have attitude. They have cool, differentiated faces. The light is fine, but they could be more differentiated. The communication need to differentiate them more to stimulate repurchase. The sun is a commendation of the Argentine independence in 1810. Ah, thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Go Paraka. Attitude. They are the meanest motherfuckers, and they want to be famous. Wannabes. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who are the baddest motherfucker in the world? From Epic Movie Marketing. Personality, George Lucas. Universe, story, characters. 2, Street Movie Marketing. Personality, Guy Ritchie. Quentin Tarantino. Personality, style, story. Have any of you ever seen the movie Snatch? Do you remember? I have seen the movie Snatch. And I don't like the word to stimulate. I don't like the word stimulate. White guy. Coolness. At half. Extreme characteristics. Extremely alien looking. 3 spikes on neck. Weapons. Dagger plus claw shooter. Peculiarity. Creates an eerie mist around him whenever he walks. Glassy stare. Creates small clouds of fog whenever he breathes out, which is rare. Sound. Cracking ice. Inspiration. Eye designer in Blade Runner. Personality. No feelings whatsoever. Hardly ever speaks. Friends with nobody. Relations. Hates brown guy for his constant babble. Occasionally asks red guy to defrost him with his flamethrower. Now, this is problematic. I think we can all agree that this is problematic. But what I will show you is an image of the gentleman in question here. This is the white guy who hates brown guy. Can you see him? Yeah, you can. Look at that. That is the quintessential white guy who hates brown guy. I'm pretty sure I was just doing a TikTok live debate with this exact guy. You guys are saying that you liked Snatch. Is Snatch really that goated? It's quite good. It's the one with Boiling Point Stephen Graham in, isn't it? Stephen Graham is like what does Stephen Graham do? And Brad Pitt is like the boxer, isn't he? Who doesn't want to lose, but they make him lose, or I don't remember. Yeah, this is the white guy who hates brown guy. But yes, I hope you guys are all glad that you've learnt a little bit about Bionicles that you didn't watch, but didn't you know before. Guys, also, I know that you're all watching already, but my Instagram story saying I was live today is fire. It is fire. It is top tier. Also, whose tongue is looking sus? This guy's tongue? I don't think he has a tongue. Are you making out that that might be a little something else? Hop in the live. Oh yeah, he's a bare knuckle boxer, isn't he? That keeps beating up big men. Is the old man the mob boss in it? What's the quote from Snatch? Do you know the meaning of the word nemesis? Yeah? Well, why do you ask if I know the meaning of the word nemesis? I've been on Nemesis Inferno. I liked Bricktop and his piggies. I don't remember anything of the film. But yeah, anyway, so we had a few fun little videos. Now, I'm not going to talk about him too much. Oh, no. I enjoyed this, you know. For all of the failures of the Democrats, it is always funny to listen to Ilhan Omar.
Democrats about the poll numbers regarding Israel and AIPAC and how the base is sort of souring on that relationship entirely. Yeah. And a lot of them tell me that Netanyahu is the problem. And I'm wondering whether you think it's Netanyahu or the Israeli government more broadly or Israeli society. I mean, what is the root core issue here with the way they've been operating the last few years and actually throughout their history?
Yeah, I mean, it's the government. Obviously, it's the actions of IDF. And also, you can say broadly, Israeli society, because when you look at the polls of the Israeli people in their support of the genocide in Gaza, it's very high.
Preach. Preach. Slay and preach. She's making a good point. It's unfortunate that that seemingly the rest of the leftists are unwilling to do that. Is that what the old guy's called? I don't really remember Snatch. There's too many movies like that. Have I ever watched Invincible? No, I've not watched Invincible, sadly. I've not seen Invincible. But yeah, I mean, obviously. And also that the best is that, like, the Israeli basis of negotiating is they don't have to uphold basic international law, and Palestinians have to just make more and more capitulations to Israel. And we're supposed to hate her. But don't you know she's from Somalia and thus she must be bad because she's not white. Hashtag just Asman things. Hello, Sid Brain. I hope you're nice and good today.
And so to me...
Andy Ron.
Yes. So to me, when you're making your assessment, just to call out Netanyahu feels like a cop-out.
Is that some sort of messaging that the lobby is pushing out as a new talking point, or that leadership is pushing out? Do you know? Because I've heard it so much. It's like almost a coincidence that many people are saying that.
Yeah, I mean, there is messaging. There is guardrails to what some of them are allowed to say, and there is, I think, wishful thinking to say, when Netanyahu leaves, everything goes back to normal and acceptable. It never was normal. It never was acceptable, and that's how I see it.
Yeah, I do have to say it. So it is, I know, unfortunately, the part that's so disheartening is that feels to be the outlier even amongst generally progressive people, or like seemingly progressives in the American, like the Squad. Is Ethan still suing you? Ethan was never suing me. I mean, perhaps one day Ethan will sue me. I hope not. I would rather he didn't. But you never know with this guy. I mean, who knows? Maybe he's going to start suing people because he looks like, for posting the photo of him as John Fetterman. I did enjoy a video that I saw of him the other day that was like him going, the lawsuits are stressful. In fact, I'm going to play that because it's a 10-second clip that I enjoyed so much.
I drink this stuff all the time. I sleep like a baby.
He does.
Unless my face is on fire. And I have a stressful court hearing in the morning. I didn't sleep very well last night.
He's not sleeping too well. I hope our hero, Mr. Klein, is doing okay. Yeah, he's just suing Noah Sampson, not me, not Isaac. Well, he's actually suing 3 women as well. 2 women, as one of them settled the court case. But it remains to be seen. It really does remain to be seen. What else? Oh yeah, there was a Chinese video mocking Donald Trump.
Out front tonight from Taipei.
Nobody knows when better than me.
This is them mocking the Burger Reich. I'm just gonna have to mute the music.
New AI videos like these.
It seems that all of the AI skepticism was misplaced, because who knew that it would be so cheap and also simultaneously so much less of a diplomatic issue to just be posting fake AI videos of Donald Trump.
Mocking President Donald Trump and the Iran war. On Chinese social media, the message is clear. So far, he says, the biggest winner is neither the US nor Iran. It's China.
By the way, this is actually true. Of course, the biggest winner is China. I was listening to Laleh Khalili talking, and she was really, really interesting. Really interesting because she was basically talking about how some China defenders are just like, well, they're playing the game of being, they're playing this game of basically being, like the Napoleon thing. When your enemy is making a mistake, don't intervene. Support actual artists. I mean, yeah, but it's also very useful for these countries. Who knew that that's what it would be useful for? But yeah, probably supporting actual artists is better. You know, I'm not going to be... I don't use AI. Maybe I'm a bit of a Luddite, but it's not for me.
Good to see you again. President Trump is set to meet Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Beijing next month. Online reaction: blunt. Trump is not welcome to visit, and even if he comes, it's meaningless. No need to come. Without credibility, what are you coming for? That word keeps coming up. Credibility. Especially when it comes to ceasefire messaging. The entire White House's credit score combined wouldn't be enough to even unlock a single shared bike.
I see why Chinese people... You know what? Everyone's like, oh, Chinese people are cut off from the internet. It looks like the shit that they got going on over there. I want to get involved in that. I'm not angry about, you know, I'm not like, oh my God, we need them on our internet. I need to be getting on their internet. I need to get on their internet.
Every day, Trump wakes up and reformats himself into a new Trump. Whatever version he is that day is the one that counts.
By the way, increasingly of the opinion that sane-washing Trump is impossible. None of this is making sense at all. Not one single part of this makes any sense. Trump just says things that are totally disconnected from reality, and reading what he is doing and saying is nigh on impossible at this point.
This whole thing is really about no nuclear. They cannot have a nuclear weapon.
In China, political speech is tightly controlled, but criticism of Trump seems to be spreading freely.
How does that change the dynamic of this meeting with President Xi?
I don't think it does. I mean, he's somebody that needs oil. We don't.
China is...
By the way, of course, like, China needing oil. We don't. I actually can't believe this. The US imports huge amounts of oil. Like, the US uses 20 million barrels per day. The US uses 13 million per day. Sorry, the US produces 13 million and it needs 20 million barrels per day. That's how many it uses. It's truly amazing. They still import. It cannot replace. And by the way, you can't replace the Strait of Hormuz. The reason that the Strait of Hormuz matters is not simply because it's a key energy choke point. It's also because of the fact of, like, how does America supply oil easily to, I don't know, a real oil hungry place like fucking Australia? And by the way, the crisis is coming. The crisis really is coming. It's pretty clear.
Is Iran's biggest oil customer, Beijing also dominates green energy and claims to be cutting oil demand by more than 1 million barrels a day.
当别人还在为石油打的。
While others are still bashing their heads in over oil, we've already gotten ahead in the next era, he says. Solar, wind.
By the way, the Chinese propagandists are telling the truth. Like they just are. For anyone wondering whether the fossil fuel crisis in the Middle East is driving interest in clean energy technologies, China's exports of batteries, EVs and solar products shot up in March to $21.9 billion. This is an all-time record high and a 70% increase over March. Guys, I'm just going to be like 30 seconds. I'm not even going to pee. I'm just going to go grab something. Actually, I am going to go pee. Yeah. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Chris has webbed feet. What a horrible comment. Come to the Twitch chat. We have piss emoji. You do indeed. I am back. I have returned, and I am here to talk about China doing very well. Shout out to the Chinese. What if a white guy wants to end up speaking Chinese? Okay.
Welcome to the Burger Reich.
Someone has been welcomed to the Burger Reich. Oh, it's hell for Michelle. Still waiting for that piss emote. I fear about making it on YouTube. It might have to be edited to saying P emote. I don't know, though. Josh, who is Josh Citarella? And 2, who is watching a 3-hour video of ContraPoints talking about anything? But thank you for 8 months. Thank you for being here and supporting. Thank you so much. Incredibly kind. Did you bring me a burger, Chris? Definitely not. Everyone's living a Chinese kind of life. 100%. Oh yeah, it looked like there was something interesting going on Piers Morgan yesterday. So you have Yishai Fleischer, Lonerbox's friend, Jonathan Korn or whatever his name is, I don't know, Israeli propagandist, Gershon Baskin, and oh my god, how am I forgetting his name? The Haaretz man, Gershon Levy? Is that his name? Gershon Levy? Yeah, it's Gershon Levy. No, it's not. It's what's his name? Oh my god, how have I forgotten his name? Oh.
Welcome to the Burger Reich.
Anna Banan. We need the piss emote. Okay, the Gideon Levy. That's it. Thank you. That's Gershon Baskin. Thank you. I'd forgotten his name. Anna Banan, thank you for 8 months of support. That's goated. And I will work on that P emote. It's not going to be a piss emote, probably. Gideon Levy, thank you.
The publication that you write for.
Well, everyone in here is Israeli, so two somewhat nicer than the others.
Put a report out over the weekend.
I mean, this guy is straight up the worst on there, obviously. That's, I mean, this guy's actually more culpable in mass murder, but this is Ben Gavir's handler. And by the way, someone who Lonerbox and Destiny met on their little propaganda tour of Israel.
Featuring anonymous interviews with former IDF soldiers detailing atrocities they'd witnessed in Gaza, One described serving in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza in December 2023 when a platoon noticed suspicious figures and fired. He said, when we got to a destination, I realised these weren't terrorists. It was an old guy and 3 boys, maybe teenagers. Not one of them was armed, but their bodies were riddled with bullets. Then the battalion commander came over with his people, and one spat on the bodies and yelled, "This is what happens to anybody who messes with Israel."
By the way, something I want to say is, and something that this made me think about, was how many people in Gaza are just buried in unmarked graves after they were massacred by Israeli soldiers in war crimes.
You sons of bitches. Another soldier described a shooting at an army outpost in southern Gaza. She said suddenly the soldiers on watch noticed 5 Palestinians crossing the line they weren't allowed to cross, heading for northern Gaza. The battalion commander gave an order to overwhelm them with fire, even though they hadn't been confirmed as armed or anything like that. A tank started shooting at them with its machine gun, hundreds of bullets. 4 of the 5 Palestinians were killed. A few hours later, a bulldozer buried them in the sand. The article also describes a sniper who shot people seeking aid and drone operators who killed civilians. And there was a lot more very, very shocking detail in this investigation. So you put it together, much as people will listen to Jonathan Comricus.
It's also really wonderful how Piers Morgan is like, oh, this Gaza genocide has really made me upset about Israel. And then he's just reading out this. He's just reading out, a statement that could have been from any Israeli assault on any country of them just mass killing innocent people. Literally, Israel's most introspective and thought-provoking exploration of the futility of war features a scene, and it's considered anti-war and was loved by the Israeli government, features a scene where an Israeli just massacres an innocent family in Lebanon, and most people view that as some pro-peace piece of shit piece of media. And I know, is it really shocking? Once again, you could have read this from anywhere, any Israeli assault. Hello, Ivan. Ivan Against Cuisine, good to see you.
And understand context is important, but the combination of that appalling image of this IDF soldier desecrating a statue of Jesus with this report in your publication, it certainly is testing extremely hard, I would argue.
By the way, Yeshai Fleischer is probably like trying to not be elated about the destruction of a statue. It feels like something he would love.
This constant refrain we hear that the IDF is the most moral army in the world.
I can assure you that Jonathan will say that those were exceptions. You will bring more and more testimonies by soldiers, and you will always hear the Israeli denial, the Israeli self-denial. There will always be Jonathans who will explain us that those exceptions don't tell us the full story. They will talk about the context, and I want to talk about the context. The context of the soldier who broke this sculpture of Jesus, and the context of those horrible and horrifying stories that we read last Friday in Har.
During the 2014 Gaza genocide, assault on Gaza, or the aggression against Gaza is the term that people like to use. During that assault on Gaza, people just returned to their homes, and there was like, the only good Arab is a dead Arab written in them, and just insane shit written on them. All of this destruction carried out by the Israelis is not some new phenomenon.
It is the same context.
Also, by the way, Gideon Levy is not particularly outraged by the statue. It's because these people will bring it up, but because they're using it as an example of disciplining an Israeli soldier, because obviously disciplining someone for one singular act of destruction makes it, one, look like the Israelis are pro-Christian, that they're holding to account soldiers who act in excessive ways, without also in any way dealing with, the wanton destruction of property or anything. They just, that's okay, that's all fine.
An army who is now preoccupied in a brutal occupation for decades now cannot behave otherwise. You cannot maintain such an occupation for so many years and remain human. Doesn't work. Didn't work in any other occupation in the world. And the best thing that people like Jonathan...
I think if you prioritize the statue over dead children, exactly. But I mean, the only reason that they care about this statue, by the way, if it wasn't for the fact that Israel was dead set on propagandizing American Christians and Christians generally, and viewing that as and viewing that as the only way forward, then they wouldn't be talking about it. That's why the Israelis are talking about it. That's why they prioritize it.
And can do.
They don't care. They don't care about destroying Lebanese people's homes. They would have said it if it wasn't for the fact that it was on video. They'd probably say Hezbollah did it.
Is once to look at the truth and to admit it, because we first of all need it. We Israelis. What will make people realize that we grow a monster in front of our eyes? What will they make them being convinced that we crossed any possible line? You know, Piers, there are 6 million uprooted people now in the Middle East, wandering around from here to there. Part of them lost their homes forever. In Gaza, in Lebanon, in Iran. Are we really proud to be a country which creates such a reality for 6 million human beings?
One thing I quickly just wanted to point out, one of my favorite reactions to this statue comes from this lady. Obviously, this is wrong. Every Israeli I know has also said this is wrong. It's been condemned by the IOF and the soldiers involved will be held accountable. That part isn't complicated, but I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted because for decades, Hezbollah and other Islamist actors in Lebanon have been responsible for attacks on churches, slaughtered Christians, and desecrated Christian symbols. By the way, Hezbollah are obviously not like en masse responsible for this, and Israel's targeting of Palestinian Christians and this repression and brutality of them is... just Israelis do it more, obviously. I've never heard a Christian online express outrage over it. If you only care about Christians when you can blame Jews, you don't actually care about Christians. And the reason I love this story the most, or the reason that this woman is the funniest example of this, is because this lady is the one who said, I'm gonna say it. Oh, wait. This lady has like the most, one of the most disgusting quotes that you will hear. As some of you will remember.
I'm gonna say it. Just because you see images of dead children, as disgusting and frustrating and upsetting as it is, does not automatically make a war unjust.
This is what makes her exhausted and tired. This is what she can't justify. Like, she can come up with a justification for the mass killing of children, but when it comes to this statue, she can't. And by the way, if you're wondering why people like this can't, it's because she literally works for an organization that is about propagandizing Christians. She's involved with this one, Passages Israel. It's about taking Christians to discover the wonders of the Holy Land and blah, blah, blah. And they all say, well, I'm a Christian and look how Israelis treated me. You are a white person going to do propaganda. She's worked on staff for this organization. That is who she is. That is what she is. She's a propagandist for the state of Israel. Oh my God.
I've seen the image. We've all... Are we on the same page? Cool. Hi, if you're new here, my name's Liv. I'm a Christian, and I've spent a significant portion of the last 2.5 years of my life living in Israel. Also including part of the current Iran war. And if I believed everything I saw on the internet, I too would think that Israelis hate Christians, that Jews hate Christians, but that is far from the experience that I've had. I could talk to you about the fact that as a Christian in Israel, I have been hugged by strangers on the street, how I have received countless Shabbat invitations, more than I would be able to attend in a lifetime.
They turning her into a Shabbos goy.
How I feel safe and protected in Israel because of the IDF. How I have spent countless hours in bomb shelters with friends who have different religious beliefs than I do. But that's not the point. The point is moral consistency, consistent principles. If the argument is that you can...
I like how someone can sit there and talk about consistent moral principles. Someone who said that Palestinians' children being killed is justifiable, but this isn't.
Care about Christian persecution, that you care about flesh and blood Christians. Where were you when Christians were being slaughtered in Lebanon by Hezbollah? Where were you when they were being driven from their homes, when their churches were destroyed?
By the way, this was being carried out by Israel. This is just saying slop because you can say anything if you are a pro-Israel influencer. And yeah, I don't know why they all say Israel. I assume it's some southern thing. Why don't Palestinians have bomb shelters? Literally, I'm so done with this. I think this person is more criticizing Liv Lane. By the way, her name on TikTok is Live Laugh Love Israel.
Their symbols were being torn down. It's a genuine...
Oh my god, she is actually the woman who loves burgers and living in Israel. That's what you gotta understand. I've been in Israel, and people have stopped me in the street to give me a burger. Burgers in the street of Israel. They find out I'm an American Christian, and they give me burgers.
One question. Why is it that we are treating global jihad as if it is an isolated incident, and yet isolated incidences in Israel...
By the way, just a quick question. How would Shia Muslims participate in a globalized jihad, whatever that is, when, you know, they're not the majority? What is the global jihad that all of these people together participate in? You know, I do have to wonder. And yeah, she loves burgers and she lives living in Israel. No.
Some threats are unforgivable, except for when... You've seen the image, right?
Oh, I can't believe I lost that. I lost the point of my favorite video. Ah. Right, we're just going to pause for a second. Your American accent brings me immense joy. Well, when I'm interacting with people, yeah. I don't like this. Of course a white Christian will be treated with basic human decency. I know. Especially when you... By the way, it's not just even being a white Christian. I don't know if that's 100% true, because you do have, like, some white, you know, very fairly skinned Palestinians who, you know, could probably pass as white. Why she is treated well in Israel is literally because she is there to do propaganda for them. That is why. That is it. That is what it boils down to. She works, or she previously worked, for a propaganda organization about bringing white girls, yes, but also just American Christians to Israel. That is all she is.
To attend in a lifetime. How I feel safe and protected in Israel because of the IDF. How I have spent countless hours in bomb shelters with friends who have different religious beliefs than I do. But that's not the point. The point is moral consistency, consistent principles. If the argument is...
the consistent principle of what? Israeli soldiers regularly write about the fact that they've been mass killing Palestinians and designating them as everyone as a terrorist in order to make it look like they're killing loads of Palestinian militants when they're not. They're just massacring entire families. This has been mentioned over and over again. They openly admit to using human shields, and you as a Christian can justify that. Once again, Jesus' message of radical love has absolutely nothing to do with this. And yeah, thousands of hours in bomb shelters does sound pretty annoying. I probably wouldn't want to do that. I probably wouldn't want to do that. Bro, imagine you're trying to put the hours in Dota and you end up spending your time doing this. 1,000 hours of anything and you can become an expert. No, sorry, you're 1/10 of the way to becoming an expert. What are you an expert at? Sitting in bomb shelters and doing propaganda for Israel.
That you care about Christian persecution, that you care about flesh and blood Christians. Where were you when Christians were being slaughtered in Lebanon by Hezbollah? Where were you when they were being...
Also, talking about flesh and blood Christians when this is your first outraged post. when I don't think you do this about Palestinians. And in fact, you actively lie to diminish the genuine suffering that Palestinians are experiencing inside of Israel and in the occupied territories because they are Palestinian Christians. How dare you talk about flesh and blood Christians? It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Being driven from their homes, when their churches were destroyed, when their symbols were being torn down. It's a genuine question. Why is it that we are treating global jihad as if it is an isolated incident, and yet isolated incidences in Israel by Jews as Jewish supremacy? And as a Christian, I can tell you that my response...
I really wish I could go backwards, because that was a very, very, very confusing statement.
When I saw this image wasn't anger or outrage. It was actually sadness and compassion. I felt bad for that soldier. You want to...
You felt bad for the guy going and smashing up a Lebanese Christian man's house. Blood and soil. She's going to start talking about blood and soil Christians and why we must protect them.
I don't know why. Because he doesn't know Jesus. And as a Christian... That makes me sad. And also, I find it interesting that
he doesn't know Jesus. Interesting one there, mate. Ooh. No! Oh.
Some threats are unforgivable. You've seen the image, right?
How can they do this to me? How can Instagram be such a shit platform and keep doing this? Why do I keep having to rewatch this? Oh. I'm going mental today. Fully jokified. We live in a society where you can get this as a job, where this can be your job, posting slop like this. Isn't it incredible? Just going up to your camera like, I feel bad for the Israeli soldier who has not found Jesus. Nothing like Christian love. Yeah, the radical message of Christian love of, it is incredible to find more compassion for some Israeli soldier who, destroyed a Palestinian, a Lebanese person's cross than, I don't know, the Lebanese family who were removed from there in Israel's pursuit of forever occupying Palestinian land and subjugating Palestinian Christians. By the way, that pause frame's crazy.
Than I do. But that's not the point. The point is moral consistency, consistent principles. If the argument is that you care about Christian persecution, that you care about flesh and blood Christians, where were you when Christians were being...
What did someone say? Blut und Ehre, or, I can't remember what's... Blut und Ehre Israelis. Preach.
They're treating global jihad as if it is an isolated incident, and yet isolated incidences in Israel by Jews as Jewish supremacy. And as a Christian, I can tell you that my response when I saw this image wasn't anger or outrage. It was actually sadness and compassion. I felt bad for that soldier.
Do you think this is what she looks at when she sees like a photo of an indigenous person being slaughtered by Americans? She's like, I felt bad for the indigenous person because they hadn't found Jesus. They did not know Jesus.
You want to know why? Because he doesn't know Jesus. And as a Christian, that makes me sad. And also, I find it...
I don't know why this statement is so funny. I don't know why this statement is so funny, just her going, that makes me sad. This is goated. This is goated.
Interesting that Jesus on the cross said, forgive them, Father. They know not what they're doing. And yet we as Christians have the audacity to cling more to our anger than we do to mercy. When you only care about Christian persecution so that you can blame Jews, maybe you don't care about Christian persecution as much as you think you do.
Amazing. I'll one-up you. Isn't it even more strange when you specifically do not care about persecution of Christians when it is done by Jews? Is that not odder? Ray, I also want to read this. Why won't this open? I really, really, really want to read this. Why is this not showing? Come on, show. Yeah, here we go. I got it up. To Israel, from a Christian who loves you. Why do you love Israel so much? It's a question I get all the time. From people of all Oh, shut up. I first visited Israel when I was 15. I got really sick. Our tour guide went out in the middle of the night to find anti-nausea medication for me. He checked on me frequently, always asking if I needed anything. Oh, my God. Oh, shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. I am not reading this. Oh my God. Also, by the way, just like acting as if this is like some normal or cool thing to be doing. When Israel launched the first airstrikes in Operation Rising Lion, I told my mom that I should have booked my flight to Israel sooner. I should have stayed for the summer. I told her how I felt crazy for wanting to be there as I tried to grasp for words to explain how I felt. There was a long silence. She gave me a sympathetic look. You're homesick. And as crazy as it sounds, she's right. So no, I'm not an ally. Allyship is conditional. Oh my God. I prefer friend. Oh my Christ almighty. How is this real? These Christians and these faux Christians and the way they're behaving is unbelievable.
If you ever needed proof that the West lives in a bubble, this is it.
You suppose all respect.
I don't even know what these videos
Today's
are.
International... Before you ask, no, I'm not Jewish and I'm also not funded by AIPAC. Thank you. Next question. Hi, my name's Liv. I'm getting my master's in Holocaust and Genocide Studies, and here's a few things you should know about the recent resolution the IAGS made about Gaza. For those of you who don't know, the IAGS is allegedly a group of genocide scholars and...
Hi, I'm Christian, dedicated to justifying what Israel is doing.
A war without casualties.
Like another thing that
also, by the way, just amazing how the Pope is out here like, yeah, no aeroplane should ever be used to bomb someone. And these people are just like, Israel has a right to blow up and oppress Christians. But when they do this, God forbid they do this. I hope she fails her thesis, bro. Sometimes I'll see a video of Charlie and I still can't believe it. It's so freaking sad, man. By the way, Charlie Kirk was one of the most hateful individuals imaginable. I must have missed the part of Jesus' writings where he talks about prowling black people. Yeah, I must have really missed this part where Charlie Kirk said, prowling blacks and the Great Replacement. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. If you're a WNBA pot-smoking black lesbian, do you get treated better than a US Marine? Happening all the time in America, prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact. It's happening more and more. By the way, anyone who's engaged with genocide studies or why genocides happen should, and especially the Holocaust, should be able to read into what Hitler said. And I will do this again. Jewish boy with satanic joy. Just read this. With satanic joy in his face, the black-haired Jewish youth lurks in wait for the unsuspecting girl whom he defiles with his blood, thus stealing her from her people. Just like, listen to this. The prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. Do you not see how the same kind of discursive and propaganda structures operate in this? That this is basically... This is basically how you have someone who's saying and like talking about the satanic joy experienced by the criminal evil other. It's just disgusting. If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, I wonder if is she there because of her excellence, or is she there because of affirmative action? If we would have said that Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson, Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called racists. Now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to be taken somewhat seriously. Reject feminism. Submit to your husband, Taylor. You're not in charge. The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered. Talking about a 10-year-old being with a child that's the product of abuse. I think it's worth having some gun deaths. By the way, what on earth is this? How does this interact with your Christian faith, Liv Lane? Of like, you know, I guess Liv Lane's not a Catholic, so she can actually just be hateful and pro-Israel.
Welcome to the Burger
Hey. What's this I'm getting in? I'm getting in unnamed OO has become a member. Thank you very much, unnamed, unnamed, I don't know. Whichever it is, thank you for becoming a member at level 1. Thank you for supporting the channel and being a dear friend. By the way, at one point, I actually set up like another level of you could become a member, but I never rolled it out. I forgot to. And I think it was called Tin Pot Chris Tater, which I always really liked. Yeah. I don't know. There is no separation of... oh, Christ almighty. But Liv, the worst part about Liv supporting Israel is they took away your boy Charlie. Your boy Charlie got smoked by Israel. That's what I heard. They called up the real American patriot, Tyler Robinson, to carry out their attack. That is what I have heard. I cannot confirm that. I do not know, but I have heard that from sources. Sources are telling me that Charlie is stable as well. Please God. Right, but that is enough of that. What else is something notable? Apparently some kind of security alert has been called at the White House and have been partially evacuated from the press room. Maybe the Iranian government have got their shit together, so to speak, and have launched an attack, but I doubt that, and that would be awful because I love the US government and I hate Iran because they are evil. Anyway, let's go to the White House. Let's see what you're talking about. I wonder, yeah, Secret Service are moving... Oh, they gave the all clear already. Watching Erica Kirk, something isn't right there. Yeah, she's not right. She's not very right. Nice. By the way, Rick and Morty has been referenced for the first time in British Parliament. In one of the oldest democracies in the world, Rick and Morty has infiltrated. Listen, he says, I'm Pickle Rick.
Mr. Speaker, their boos mean nothing to me, Mr. Speaker. I've seen what makes them cheer.
He said this classic quote.
You cheer. Boos mean nothing. I've seen what makes you cheer.
Mr. Speaker, their boos mean nothing to me, Mr. Speaker. I've seen what makes them cheer.
Everybody wants to be Rick from Rick and Morty. But yeah. You guys are cooked. Yeah, I know. Rick and Morty is bleeding into all of our cultural institutions. Well, we did listen to that, and we actually picked up on it ourselves, but we can play it if you want. This is Keir Starmer. This is Keir Starmer's impression of the Roadrunner.
Mip, mip.
Mip, mip.
Mip, mip.
Is it not a Rick and Morty original? Is it really not, Sparrow? Your boos mean nothing. I've seen what people who makes you cheer. It is a good quote, I will admit. It is a really, really, really good quote. But where does it come from then? Oh, it's Marcus. Apparently it's... Your boos mean nothing. in Marcus Aurelius's classic texts, an audience clapping, well, I don't know. Apparently there's just some history of it. I don't know. It's going to take me too long to read this, and I don't want to read an article by Stephen Kent about this. Sorry, Stephen Kent. My sincerest apologies. Meep. Have you seen this Italian boomer art of pro-Palestinian mayor Silva Salis? No, I haven't seen that. Well, I never realised that the lion does not concern himself with the opinions of sheep is just a quote from Game of Thrones, right? That's where it comes from. You can send it to me. He was talking to teenagers, I believe, and he's a creep. Yeah, I think he is. Yola boo boo means nothing. I've seen what makes you piss. Interesting comment, and the kind of comment that can get you locked up. Oh, Isaac's just released the free episode. Okay, right. Well, the part of the free episode. We just made a short section of the Spooky Scary Socialist episode free if anyone wants to check that out. Mip Mip is the sound that the Roadrunner makes in... Yes, that's the sound that he makes in the classic. It's actually more of a meep meep, but obviously Keir Starmer said it close enough. So, yeah. Right, is there anything else that fun that I wanted to cover? Oh, yes. I did wanna record something, a little short segment. So Netanyahu yesterday posted the Israeli flag on Israeli Independence Day. Obviously lots of responses. Antifa ultras ratioed him horrendously with a pro-Palestine flag and not even a fifth of the views. They got 95k likes. The photo from the Great March of Return has about half the likes and not even a tiny percentage of the views. Sorry, I accidentally just liked Netanyahu's post. Anyway, but people were ratioing it. So this low resolution of photo of a goat poop will get more likes than the Israeli flag. It has actually managed to get more likes than the Israeli flag. So there's sort of been a competition of what might get more likes than the Israeli flag. The Great March of Return photo succeeded pretty handily. What else succeeded pretty well? Some toilet paper succeeded.
Every day.
Wait. There's like just a list. This bag of potatoes will get more likes than the Israeli flag. The Vatican flag will get more likes than the Israeli flag. Ratio, low resolution goat poop.
Fuck Israel till my last breath. Fuck Israel till I'm in jail or I get shot. Fuck Israel.
That is such a... I don't really know much about Richard Medhurst. I don't know all that much about him, but a funny comment.
Fuck Zionism. Fuck you and fuck you.
Donkey will get more likes. 33k. What is this? Big Yahoo sent out a hit on Wemby. I think it's pretty evident that people really do not like Israel. Oh, hold on. That people really are not fans of Israel. And this thread is just indicative of that. Like, this ratio is unbelievable. 500,000 likes to 30,000. Even on a platform heavily manipulated in favor of pro-Israel slop. Psh. Yeah, just got a Twitter notification. Whoops-a-daisy, I didn't mean to do it, I slipped. Guys, I just got to 46.2k followers. Please don't go. I love you. Apparently it is a Rick and Morty original banger, right? So thank you for admitting it. It is a Rick and Morty banger. Yeah, who is Wemby? What do you think about boycotting the Metro games, including Metro 2039, since many people discovered the author's insane Zionist and Islamophobic tweets? Are Metro the games that were... does it have Samus in it? Is that the one where you could play as them on... where you could play as them on Smash Bros? That's the closest I've ever been to interacting with a Smash Bros game. Look, I don't think you have to formally never play it. I mean, perhaps if, you personally, not myself, were ever interested in accessing that game, there perhaps could be an alternative that I would never ever endorse, and I would fully endorse legally purchasing games. However, what I will say is that, I would not encourage you to buy it. In the same way that if you were to watch The Boys, I would encourage you to watch it in a way that is not through Amazon. I would encourage you that if you really want to watch it, that you would watch it once you would not do that, sorry. That if you were interested, maybe you could find an alternative way to watch it, but I would not encourage that, and that's something you would have to pursue independently, and I do not endorse piracy. I mean, I saw those adverts when I was a kid. You wouldn't steal a car. I wouldn't steal a car. I would not steal a car. But yeah, you guys are all beefing about what this game is. So Metroid is the Silent Scythe. By the way, I took a little clip of that. If you want to upload it, if you're going to edit that, if you want a clipped version from my end, if that one works for you, that would be great. I don't know if you clipped it for me liking a Netanyahu tweet, but I was thinking about making a short version of that. I would download a car. You wouldn't download the 3D schematics for a. You wouldn't download the schematics for a 3D gun that you then use to shoot healthcare CEO. You wouldn't do that, would you? Anyway, beyond Netanyahu's insane likes... Wait, Rosini has been sacked. Oh, thank God. I mean, it was tragic. Rosini was terrible. It was a terrible appointment. Yeah, sucks, but... I don't know who you appoint. I'm worried about Chelsea. I think they could go down, but the big Rosini is gone. Now they need to get rid of Netanyahu. But would you download a Ceasefire? No. So Metro is like Metro 2039. Metro 2039. I mean, the thing is you're all on here like, oh, Chris, are you gonna boycott the game because it's got Zionism in it? No, I'm boycotting the game because it's too woke and not masculine enough. It's not teaching the youths about masculinity and responsibility. That's why I'm boycotting it. But you guys are like, oh, I'm gonna boycott it because it's Zionist. No. It's not teaching masculinity to youths, and video games ruin your attention span. Yeah. Would you tape a song to have your own copy? Never. Never. Where would be a good place to teleport Netanyahu? The seventh layer of hell? Metro is about taking a train tunnel, but there's no train. Oh my gosh. That's like my life in London, trying to get the tube. Yeah. Not enough T in masculinity. Exactly. The game is Metro too low in T. It's not got Christian ideals. I'm joking. I don't know shit about this game. Yeah, anyway. Sorry, one of you sent me this. Found this image on an Italian right-wing Facebook page mocking centre-left politician Silvia Salis. And unfortunately, it goes really hard. So she has a Hamas headband and the Soviet hammer and sickle and a rose. How ridiculous. The Virgin Mary. Mashallah, this lady. But yeah. I show speed is just ratioed Logan Paul saying, you don't even know shit about One Piece. Yeah. Right, okay, let's do some newsing. Let's do some newsings. Let's take a wry eye at the news today. So, in case you missed it, the Israelis are settling Lebanon. They're settling Syria. Easy mistake to make. Freudian slip. They're settling everywhere. I really do think it would be, you know, like people are like Islamists are taking over the UK. I think it would be interesting if we actually had like a Muslim who held these kind of levels of religious extremism in the British Parliament. Like, it's hard to find a comparison to this level. This is like a level of piety and extremity that you don't see amongst many people. Like, really, really high level. Like, just going to march into Syria because you believe that you have a God-given right to kick the people who actually live there out of that land. I mean, you sometimes... I guess Randy Fine is kind of like that. One of my favorite quotes about Meir Kahane, Israel's the sort of ideological father of the ultra-right in Israel. Meir Kahane was ugly and spoke bad Hebrew, and thus it seemed he would achieve very little. Those are like it's a rough quotation of Tom Segev, but he was ugly and spoke bad Hebrew. By the way, this is what Hila Klein hates. Hila Klein is like an Israeli who's a soldier, and she doesn't actually mind being a soldier. She minds that she has to deal with extremist Israeli settlers. What is there even to do? Like, what do these guys do? Do they just read surely they can't be reading Torah all day because they're busy doing settler shit. Like, what do you even do? You've come to, like, a barren building in Lebanon, in Syria, fully protected by, you know, the Israeli military. To do what? To just stand there? To just stand there and just go sing songs? Brilliant. What is this? What is this? I'm sure you all saw the video of Ahmed Al-Shara listening to... I have held off on showing this clip. This is Ahmed Al-Shara listening to that Missy Elliott song that's like, flip it and reverse it. Is it worth it? By the way, actually fucking incredible. This guy was in prison that was referred to as the Jihadi University by the Americans in Iraq. Obviously, they're racist as shit, but this was he was in like this prison camp that was filled with most of the people who went to go on to be regional leaders of ISIS. He was sent to Syria by Zaharawi, who was the leader of ISIS. ISIS. Wait, no, he was Nadim al-Zahar. Why am I saying... I'm really concerned that I'm saying his name wrong. Oh, how am I getting this wrong? Ayman al-Zawahiri. Zawahiri. Yeah, it was created by, like, you know, one of the, like, a key figure in the Islamic State. And Al-Qaeda. Sorry, excuse me, Al-Qaeda. And now he's listening to Missy Elliott. Do you think if Osama bin Laden had been a bit more woke, he would have just been like dancing to... it would have been one day we would have got to watch videos of him just dancing. Watching dances. Like, it is totally plausible, you know? You ever seen that tweet that's like, Bin Laden was tall, why didn't he just get interested in hooping? It's just such an odd situation. Yeah, I know. Bin Laden was incredibly tall. And to be honest, by the way, one thing you should probably realize, as much as these people love to make out that, like, militant Islamism is so opposed to Western moral values, if you look at how most of these groups operate and how they get popularity, it basically operates around providing basic services where the state has retreated. They work really well with neoliberalism. The Muslim Brotherhood was literally just founded to do charity. It's like, the Muslim Brotherhood's obviously different to this. Like, the Muslim Brotherhood does have militant elements that largely spawned from, not Hassan al-Banna. How do I forget this guy's name? He wrote a child from the village. How do I forget his name? Egyptian, tortured by NASA. I don't know how I always forget his name. Well, I mean, yeah, Osama bin Laden was certainly less of a Zionist than Thibaut Courtois. Who am I thinking of, by the way? Someone will know. One of you will tell me his name. What up, squeaky voice? How's life? Pretty good. I don't think I have that much of a squeaky voice. Syed Qutb. No one even told me. Syed Qutb. But yeah, like, they just do charity and shit a lot of the time. They work pretty well with neoliberalism, I'm not gonna lie. But, like, apparently, you know, yeah, and it's not really surprising that Jelani is there. Tortured by NASA is crazy. Yeah. NASA tortured him for insisting that, for basically insisting that Pluto was a planet. Yeah, Syed Qutb. Anyway, wait. We did have one fun video. We're not going to talk about this too much because I'm going to teach Isaac about this on the podcast, so I've got to learn about all of this. But this is an amazing, amazing video.
Today.
Well, I do want to give you an opportunity to respond directly to the allegations in the Atlantic article that your unexplained absences created a national security risk. And beyond that, can you say definitively that you have not been intoxicated or absent during your tenure as FBI director?
I can say unequivocally that I never listen to the fake news mafia. And as when they get louder, it just means I'm doing my job.
Look at my lawyer dog. Look at my lawyer dog. Your lawyer is sat there. Look at this lawyer just sat there. Todd Blanche just like, oh God. He's making an embarrassment out of himself. Oh, okay. Oh, you're talking about my voice laughing. Okay, awesome. Maybe I'll watch Rashida Tlaib. Thank you. This is what Ethan's lawyer is stood here like as Ethan asks for another lawsuit. And is your friend actually the journalist being sued? That's crazy.
Yeah. This FBI director has been on the job twice as many days as every director before me. What that means is I've taken half.
This is such a good statement. First of all, it's like the most David Brent thing in the world. But he goes on to say, I've taken... Wait. What is it exactly? He's basically like, I take days off. This means I've taken less days off. I think just admit you're drinking. It's cool.
And as when they get louder, it just means I'm doing my job. This FBI director has been on the job twice as many days as every director before me. What that means...
Yeah, he does say exactly the same thing. I've been on the job twice as many days. What that means is I've had half as many days off. Yes, that was implied by your first statement, Mr. Patel.
I've taken half as many days off as those before me. What that means is I've taken a third less vacation.
I really enjoyed it when he started with talking in the third person. I'm sad he dropped that aspect of this bit. I also really, I think it would be cooler if he was telling us what drinks are good to mix, what's good for like getting, absolutely fucking wasted when you're at the FBI and you can't get caught. Like, you're surrounded by some of the best, agents in the world, some of the premier agents. I mean, they're in the American FBI. They must be fantastic. But what is the trick, man? This sounds awesome. I knew a guy, one time I used to work at a place, and I saw a guy drinking at work. He'd hidden it in, like, under a tea towel. Where did you hide it? I'd like to hear about that, mate.
Than those before me. What that means is that this FBI, with this Department of Justice, has dropped the murder rate 20 points. What that means is this FBI, with this Department of Justice, has captured 8 of the top 10 most wanted fugitives in the world, twice as many as the Biden administration did in its entire 4 years. What that means is this FBI has seized enough fentanyl off the streets to kill 178 million Americans, a 31% increase.
I really, 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 really love that statement. As if, like, this fentanyl was going to be used to potentially kill anywhere near that many Americans. As if that many Americans were just going to mass overdose.
What that means is this FBI and this DOJ has arrested 43% more spies in 14 months than the entirety of the Biden administration. What that means is this FBI has seen a reduction in opiate overdose deaths up to 20% alone. What that means is that we have found 6,300 child victims, 6,300.
I can't believe that Comrade Jacob has just said, don't let them get to you, Spider Cash. # dudes rock. Don't stop party rocking. Do you think that's funny? This guy just saved 178 million Americans. Half of all Americans were saved by this guy, and you think that there's a joke to be made?
100 families have their kids back. That is a 22% increase from the Biden administration. I'm on the job. I'm the first one in. I'm the last one out. I'm like an everyday American who loves his country, loves the sport of hockey, and champions my...
Welcome to Twitch, Chris. Thank you. It's nice to have a little community of you guys over there too. Are there sources for any of this? Didn't Trump just fire most of the people who source and monitor this kind of stuff?
Friends, when they raise a gold medal and invite me in to celebrate.
Thank you, Mr. Cash. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's so great to know that you're saying great stuff. I mean, yeah, if you want to listen to me cover that in more detail, I'm going to be teaching Isaac all about the scandal. Obviously affect him more because, his hockey friends lost. Quickly, I just wanted to do this before we get into some news. Just have a listen to this. Have a listen to this suggestion by the Washington Post of how we can get a ceasefire in Iran. This guy's a WAPO columnist. A WAPO columnist. Don't tell Benny Shapiro. Mute him when he says fentanyl, please. I'm getting lightheaded. 100%.
What happens after 72 hours if they don't come to the table? What do you think should happen?
Also, sorry, just to quickly note, there is not a girl who got arrested for making a Netanyahu joke. The girl got arrested for calling in a bomb hoax or like threatening a bomb hoax on a chat, which look, it's probably was a joke, but in America, with what them kids be up to in America, it's wild. And then she was like, big Yahoo, blow up the hall or something. But I keep seeing that she was arrested for making Netanyahu jokes. She wasn't really. It was more she was committing, she was just threatening to carry out major attacks. And yeah, that haircut is wild. It's like, I don't know, it looks like a mountain. It was an obvious joke. I think it pretty is obviously a joke. But what I will say is, I don't know if you live in America. When you're in America, the stuff going on there is, it's not great, and you probably do have to treat those threats with significance. I don't know, is it that funny to say I'm gonna bring a weapon to school? I don't know, probably not, probably a bit insensitive. Yeah, and cancel culture is real though, yeah. Crazy in general, and these are the bootlickers. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, one of the major problems and one of the major issues happening with Iran right now, and once again, this is not to give a major credit to previous diplomats or previous administrations in how they negotiated, how they planned their disastrous wars in the Middle East. you know, it is disastrous to just have, like, oh my God. It is just disastrous to have uneducated... Hold on, I will show you this. I will show you this video.
In a WhatsApp group chat of about 215 students, where students were discussing an event that was to take place Friday at the Ocean Bank Convocation Center on campus to make their capstone presentations. An FIU police officer read some of the statements in court.
The exact words utilized was, "There's going to be a bomb in the Ocean Bank Convocation Center, and it's going to be at Jonathan's fault," one of the members in the chat.
7 News obtaining some bits of that chat. It seemed the student wanted the event rescheduled and wrote, quote, "Netanyahu, if..."
This is, it's obviously a joke, but it wasn't just a Netanyahu joke. She did say there's going to be a bombing, and in America, this kind of stuff literally does happen. But once again, this is spread as like, she just made a Netanyahu joke? Oh my gosh. She said there was going to be a bombing.
You can hear me drop some bonbons for us capstone students in Ocean Bank.
No. She said there is going to be a bombing and it's going to be Jonathan's fault.
Bank Convention Center. Other students wrote they didn't take that text lightly. She later in the chat wrote, quote, "I wrote a dumb joke that should not have been made."
I can understand your position, Ms. Corey, and you're saying this is a joke, but to an objective person, it's not a joke.
Who the hell is this guy? Why is he so sad?
And there would be enough for probable cause. I'm not saying it's enough for beyond a reasonable doubt. I don't know what the state's going to be able to prove at trial. But for purposes of this hearing, I believe there is enough for probable cause.
So yeah, it wasn't just a statement of like a silly Netanyahu joke. Yeah, I mean, the court recorder's a bit bored. But, I don't know. When I watched it, I was like, damn. I feel like I've even heard more of the statement than just that. It's just people framed it as exclusively... She just made, like, a Netanyahu joke, but she wasn't arrested for the Netanyahu joke. I thought there were other tweets. I thought there were other messages. That is a man whose only job is giving disapproving dad stares. Okay. Though, so there's no way she's a tangible threat. Yes, but she did also say there is going to be a bombing before the Netanyahu one. Look, I don't know. I'm not so sure it's a good idea to just, like, say that there's going to be a bombing at places, you know? Especially when you live in a place where that kind of stuff does happen at school. So, like, maybe that's not, like, a good, awesome idea. And it's not... I don't know. It's just, like, not that funny. I mean, when someone says to Morrissey that they're going to shoot him with, like, a big illegal gun, it's kind of a bit funnier.
What happens after 72 hours if they don't come to the table? What do you think should happen?
Well, if there are two factions in Iran, one that wants a deal and one that doesn't want a deal, let's kill the ones that...
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Like, by the way, I'm not thinking that, I'm not saying that, you know, criminal charges are, like, what I endorse necessarily. But there should be, like, some kind of way of saying, like, hey, don't do that, but it should be dealt with by the school, not obviously the court.
Don't want a deal. If it's that simple, we've killed over 50 Iranian leaders so far. Let's go back. Let's end the ceasefire and finish the job. Admiral Cooper has taken out about 70 to 80% of the targets he was assigned. There's another 20 to 30% to be done. Let's finish that. Let's take out the leaders who don't want a deal, and then we.
By the way, this will never work. This guy is a foreign policy writer for the Washington Post. Have a look at some of his articles. Trump flips the script on the Strait of Hormuz. Iran thinks it has leverage. Here's how Trump can prove it wrong. Trump doesn't need an Iran deal. Is this the guy who was writing about the Saudis? The Trump doctrine is here. It ends forever wars. Ugh. Jesus Christ.
We threaten to destroy Karg Island if they don't give us the nuclear dust and bring them back to the table.
Well, also, by the way, killing people who you deem to be those who cannot, those who you deem cannot be, are not able to negotiate worked. Israel would have got a deal way earlier in Gaza. Israel literally said we had to kill Mohammed Sinwar, Daesh, Yahya Sinwar. We had to kill all of these people because it would help us bring peace, and they're the obstacle to the ceasefire. But they're not. They were not the obvious issue. The obvious issue was an impasse.
Well, then, I mean, it's clear that they're.
You say Admiral Cooper has a plan to open up the strait quickly.
Absolutely. Look, Iran needs a deal. Trump does not. Trump can end this war without a deal. You go back, you finish the target list that he gave Admiral Cooper, you open up the Strait of Hormuz.
I don't understand what this means. You end it without a deal and you open up the Strait of Hormuz. What does that mean? Why do they also keep calling it the nuclear dust? Is it because they're insinuating that it's been bombed to dust?
Admiral Cooper has a plan to do that. He's got electronic warfare, counter-drone technology.
With a lead broom. She initially made a joke, was directly threatening without a joke in context. Then she made the Bibi joke. Unfortunate that the school is such a reality in the US that she's now been arrested. Yeah. I mean, I just don't think, like, what I'm saying is, I don't think that's like a funny or a haha good joke to be making. I remember 2 kids that I went to school with got in loads of trouble because they Googled on one of the computers how to kill the Queen.
Technology, and once you take out the remaining 20 to 30% of their ballistic missile capacity, the threat dissipates. And then we've already blockaded Karg Island. We can tell them, look, if you don't give us the nuclear dust, we'll destroy Karg Island and we'll destroy your economy. And you'll have them in a complete vice.
You've already been destroying their economy, and it's not worked.
So, you know, Trump is being very generous, giving them this extra time. It shouldn't last very long. He doesn't need the deal. They do, and come to the table. And if they won't, eliminate the leaders who are.
Also, by the way, Trump is categorically the one who's been agitating over and over again for there being a deal. He has over and over again said that this is what he's wanted.
The obstacle to a deal.
Yeah. Does Trump want to snort nuclear dust? I mean, no. Trump is straight edge, I think. Trump doesn't take any... well, actually, no. He definitely has taken some stuff, but yeah. By the way, all of this is rubbish. Israel, yeah, as I said, Israel has claimed this over and over again. Right, anyway. So, yesterday, as you will all know, or last night, we ended the stream with the comment of, tomorrow, I'm either going to be streaming with a ceasefire extension or a return to US and Israeli strikes on Iran. Now, as it turned out, it was the former, and we ended up with there being no strikes and an extended peace deal. Apparently, these are the, this is just like an outline of a bit of what happened.
We have new reporting on how we went from President Trump saying this morning from the White House that he didn't want to extend his own ceasefire with Iran to doing just that this afternoon.
But the deadline for the ceasefire is tomorrow. If it looks like things are progressing, will you not necessarily extend it to a definitive amount of time, but will you let it keep going if there's progress in the talks before?
It's really exciting just watching this game, just watching this game of chicken being played by, you know, a nuclear military superpower and Iran right now. It's very intriguing watching this, I won't lie, of where Trump keeps saying, I'm going to do it, and Iran just stands there and goes, well, do it then. You're either going to do it or you're not. And every time Trump does not do it, because he knows of the consequences and the ramifications.
taking.
Well, I don't want to do that.
To be clear, you're saying that you need at least the prospects for a signed deal today and tomorrow, or else you would resume bombing Iran.
I expect to be bombing because I think that's a better attitude to go in with. But we're ready to go. I mean, the military is raring to go.
That was the president's sentiment just after 8 a.m. this morning. But by 4 p.m.
Yeah, and his Nikusi is crazy up in this business. The enriching process for uranium does have a process that ends up with a powdered form. Back in the Iraq days, you used to hear about yellow cake. Interesting. I really do want to get better on the invasion of Iraq. I want to read more about it. It's never really been something that I read about all that much. I've read bits and pieces, but it's never been like my area of expertise.
Here in Washington, he had extended that ceasefire, saying, quote, "We have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. I've therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and in all other respects remain ready and able, and will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded one way or the other." Now, that Truth Social post there came after the president had spent the afternoon, I'm told, huddling with his national security team in the West Wing. While that was happening, Air Force Two was sitting on the tarmac at Joint Base Andrews, and the administration was deciding, should the Vice President, J.D. Vance, board his plane and head to Pakistan for the next round of negotiations with the Iranians, as was when he was there just a few weeks ago, as you can see here. But today the administration was dealing with an issue: virtual silence.
What's the politics law that just dropped? What's politics? I have a small bonsai that has exposed roots as thick as Trump neck flaps. Interesting. Thank you for the piece of law. I mean, look, I'll talk about what my opinions are after, but this is all so incoherent and nonsensical. It's all incoherent. And yeah, SodaStream is BDS. I'm sure that there are alternatives, though.
That they were getting from the Iranians. Now, I've learned that in recent days, the United States had sent Iran a list of broad points that they wanted them to agree to in advance of the next round of talks, of J.D. Vance getting on Air Force Two and going back to Islamabad. But days went by without the United States getting a response, raising questions and suspicions about whether or not much could be achieved in person. Officials had urged the top mediator from Pakistan to get at least some kind of response from Iran before the vice president boarded his flight. But still, hours later, an official tells me there was nothing. That radio silence is a far cry, though, from the confidence.
Islamabad. Yeah. Pakistan missed a trick there, didn't they? Naming their fucking capital Islamabad, idiots. I mean, all of this, by the way, is so incoherent. And the major issue, right, is that Trump is lying. And we have so much more insight into what's actually going on with the Trump administration than we do with the Iranians, because first of all, the Iranians are not constantly tweeting, and second of all, people obviously don't have access to the upper echelons in the interior of the Iranian like power, the power base of Iran.
That we had heard coming from President Trump just a few days ago on Iran.
I don't even know. Pakistan is. I read a great article, I think it was in the Financial Times, that was like about Asim Munir. If you guys can manage to get access, it's called The Military Man Trying to Save US-Iran Peace Talks. One of the things they talk about, and it's worth noting, is Pakistan is a Gulf US client state. Pakistan does have power, but Pakistan is very interested in being close to America and needs to be. It's why Pakistan lied about Trump brokering a ceasefire between the US government. Pakistan literally lied about Trump brokering the ceasefire between India and Pakistan. It didn't happen. India didn't nominate him from the Nobel Peace Prize, and so Trump literally punished them. Trump loves Pakistan because they brown-nose him, because they're interested in keeping their, I think it's an IMF loan or a World Bank loan. No, it's an IMF bailout, a $7 billion one, and they don't want sanctions on their ballistic missile program. So it's kind of like this thing of Pakistan is not really an honest broker. So when you hear Pakistan saying, well, you know, there's going to be talks on Friday, part of me thinks like they're probably lying for the Americans. Probably. I don't think there are going to be talks because the major issue, right? I'll get into, we'll finish this video and I'll explain what the problem is.
This process should go very quickly, and that most of the points are already negotiated and agreed to.
Like, this is just a lie. This is just straight up a lie.
Now, cut to today, and the president's top aides basically believe one of the biggest reasons they did not hear back from...
And by the way, I don't know if you're confused. Langium from the Twitch chat is beefing with the YouTube chat, saying that no one's advocating for SodaStream. They're talking about alternatives to said SodaStream. No one wants it. They just want an alternative.
The Iranians on what they wanted to just get these talks started is due to fractures within the current Iranian leadership. The administration's sense is that the Iranians don't have consensus on their position or know how much to empower the people who are going and negotiating in person.
I don't even know if this is really true. I think there have always been fractures in the Iranian government, but ultimately authority lies with basically the supreme leader, previously Ali Khamenei. And the question about Mojtaba Khamenei is, first of all, how cognizant and alive he is. Like, he was hit by a pretty significant strike and wounded quite badly. There were reports he was in a coma, then there were reports he was awake, there were reports he wasn't awake, and there were reports he was badly wounded, and blah, 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 like over and over again. So there were quite a lot of distinctions. But ultimately, authority lies with whoever is closest to him, and that is quite possibly Ahmad Vahidi, who is the commander of the IRGC, or someone to that effect. It is probably commander of the IRGC who is number one.
On things like uranium enrichment and the current stockpile of enriched uranium.
And allying with China, yeah, of course, that kind of makes sense. But, you know, the US has a lot of global financial power, and one of the main things that it will seek to do is sanction you. Obama loved using sanctions. They all loved using sanctions. They all love using sanctions, and wherever you may be, being cut off from the global financial system and negatively impacting Chinese trade and so many people, it's tough. The revolution cannot triumph without the emancipation of YouTube chatters. The emancipation of YouTube to what? And by the way, no beefing. Would they have appointed Mojtaba so unanimously if his survival was so uncertain? Good point. Don't know enough. Apparently the succession was already previously planned, so maybe that's in favor of it, but maybe you're right. Would they appoint someone who's incapacitated?
Now, part of that complicating factor, the United States believes, is whether or not the new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, is giving his subordinates clear directions, or if they're simply having to assess and guess what he wants without specific instructions.
How does the Pakistan is a US satellite? So first of all, I said a client state. It has much more of a client relationship. I didn't say it was a satellite state, but something else I'd pump in there is, you know, like the UAE, which is a country far closer into the fold of the Western powers than Pakistan is. The UAE buys Chinese tech. Probably Saudi does too. What's his name? Mohammed bin Zayed is absolutely obsessed with military hardware. He literally loves it. This is apparently something that's a little factoid about him. I don't 100% know how true it is. But yeah, the Saudis probably have it too. Plenty of countries allied with the US, far closer than Pakistan, have it.
Instruction from him while he's been in hiding. That's something that the president was alluding to in his Truth Social post about extending the ceasefire today. The U.S. believes that Khamenei's efforts to remain hidden have actually disrupted internal Iranian government discussions. Now, as we sit here tonight, the president has extended this ceasefire. There is no end date, as you noticed on that Truth Social post, no new deadline on how long this could go on. Despite our reporting tonight about the concerns about what's happening inside the Iranian government, I am told that U.S. officials do believe there is still a chance that the U.S. and Iranian negotiators could meet again soon. But if and when that happens is far from certain tonight.
Yeah, okay, right. So, I mean, one of the things I've been struggling with the last few days is trying to follow this news. The news is increasingly just nearly totally incoherent when it comes to Iran and the US and negotiations and all of this stuff. It's really, really just incoherent drivel at this point. Because, you know, Trump says one day that, yeah, well, there's going to be peace. We had the Strait of Hormuz open last Friday, as tweeted out by Abbas Araghchi, and then it was closed. And apparently that happened because the Iranians were told by Pakistan that the US was going to lift its naval blockade. But the thing is the US naval blockade doesn't work. The US naval blockade has failed. It has just straight up has just failed. The Financial Times reported this earlier today. It was reported a couple of days earlier. It was reported yesterday. This just has gone. It doesn't work. 34 tankers with links to Iran have bypassed the US blockade since it began, according to the cargo tracking group Vortexa, including several carrying Iranian oil, despite President Trump declaring the barricade, the blockade a tremendous success. It doesn't make any sense. The US are boarding ships. They're talking about how if Iran does anything, Iran's going to be blown up. Iran shot at 3 tankers today. Iran has allegedly captured 3 tankers. How anyone tries to make out that Trump has this grand plan, it's very clear he's out of his depth, that he has no coherent idea of how to achieve the aims that he's set out, and it's just a mess. So, yeah, Iran reported that they seized 3 ships earlier today. So this says Farmandhi Niruye Daryai Sepa Pasadaran. Is that Sepa army? I'm assuming. Enqalabi Islami. So that's the Islamic Republic. My Persian is not good enough. I don't practice them enough. Because I don't know what Do Kushti means. Do Kushti Motkhalef? I don't know what they're saying. I'm sorry, my Farsi's not good enough. So anyway, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy seized 2 ships for alleged navigation violations and escorted them to Iranian shores. This is the problem. How does this work? How does any of this work? Separ Pasadaran. Pasadaran. Is that how you say navy? I can't remember how you say navy. Separ is like the CIA, not the army. No, Separ is not like the CIA. The Separ is an organization that was founded during the Iran-Iraq War, I'm pretty confident. And the Separ refers to the IRGC, no? It's like it was a volunteer force during the Iran-Iraq War. It's like the volunteer force. The army is the formal army. Trump only talks to handlers he likes and Pakistani diplomats he likes. There are members of his own staff who don't have access to him because they give him news he doesn't like. Yeah, I mean, also there's this major issue that genuinely the people close to Trump are morons. Like, they don't know anything about... They genuinely don't know anything about Iran. They don't know anything about that. And I don't think it is it is like the FBI, is it? That's not. Is that not the VVAC? VVAC would be more like the FBI. VVAC is the Ministry of Intelligence. That would be more like the FBI. Anyway, but yeah, he has just appointed all of these morons to positions about countries that they don't understand. Yeah, so 2 of the 3 ships that were targeted were part of a convoy belonging to the world's biggest shipping company, MSC. The MSC Francesca and MSC Epaminondas, as well as 4 others, had been trapped in the Gulf since before the start of the conflict. So yeah, Iran seized 2 ships today. It's pretty wild. One of them is now dropping anchor. Dropping anchor sounds pretty funny. They're dropping anchor near the near the UAE. One of the 3 container ships that was attacked is now near the UAE. The UAE-owned Euphoria. Shouldn't have named your ship after a creepy TV show if you didn't want to get targeted by the IRGC. Appears to have been dropped to anchor near a port in the UAE, according to marine traffic tracking data analysed by BBC. So yeah, basically 3 ships got targeted. I don't even know if the US has reacted to this. The US has been boarding Iranian ships. There's fighting going on in Lebanon. This is not coherent. This is not a ceasefire. It is really unclear as to what is going on. Yeah, Sky News reported on this as well.
We have some breaking news to bring you now. It's all according to the Fars news agency. They're reporting that another ship has been targeted in Iranian waters, this time a Greek-owned ship named Euphoria.
I saw that report about the Indian vessel that the IRGC opened fire on the other day. I didn't know if it had actually fallen for a crypto scam. I didn't know if that was true. Narcissist blinders. I don't know what that was in response to. And they are running out of weapons. What, the US? Yes, they are running out of weapons because you can't just easily rebuild this shit.
They're saying it was targeted by the IRGC and is now stranded somewhere off the coast of Iran. We're going to keep a real close eye on this development for you. Standing by is our defence and security analyst, Professor Michael Clark. What do you make of this development, Michael?
Quite important, this one, Leo. We were saying an hour ago that the 2 ships that we knew had been targeted might not have been a result of direct decision in Tehran, because there's enough rogue commanders, commanders who don't want a peace deal at any price, and devolved command. The fact that this is a 3rd ship, so this is getting to be more than a coincidence, and that it comes from the Fars news agency, so that's government controlled. If they are reporting it, then that means that somebody in Tehran wants them to report it.
We will have more. We will have more on this devastating. Oh, shut up! Shut up, Polly.
And that increases the likelihood that this is Tehran, that this is the Iranian government, as it were, kicking back against Donald Trump, saying that they don't really know what they're doing, and I'm suspending or extending the ceasefire, suspending the military action a bit longer. And in a way, they're saying, well, we don't care. That's what this is an indication of, and that we are maintaining this blockade. And the reason that they may be targeting ships, and those are the 2 that we know of.
Yeah.
We don't know where this Greek ship is. If it's drifting toward the Iranian coast, it's presumably somewhere there.
I don't know. I don't think we're all gonna starve. I think that that's alarmist. I do think that there are food troubles incoming. I do think that that will well happen. These fucking idiots are just Kremlinologists, MK. What, this guy?
You can ask yourself, why are they targeting ships in the strait itself? And it may be because we now know quite a lot of ships have gone through the straits and have run the blockade successfully. Commercial tracking companies who have no political axe to grind one way or another are reporting today.
Like, how does this... By the way, no one... It's very odd. It feels strange. No one has left a comment in ages. I don't know what's causing that. I don't know if everyone's just gone, people who normally comment. Not just on Twitch, on YouTube too. It feels very strange. But yes, I mean, that's the perfect point. The West will be fine. Yeah, well... The poor in the West will not be fine, but generally most people will be fine.
That about 34 tankers have evaded the US blockade already. Now, that's partly because the US blockade is a long way out to sea. For safety reasons, they don't want to bring their ships in too close. So they're a long way out in the Gulf of Oman and the Arabian Sea. And that's an awful lot of water. So if enough ships are prepared to give it a go, some of them, quite a few of them, it seems.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It just doesn't. It's just not. It's odd when chat stops. La boo boo. Don't worry, it's not your obligation to comment. It's fine. It's fine to just look. It's just, I was like, what is causing this? This is strange. It doesn't normally happen. The Euphoria that's named after an Israeli show. Is Euphoria Israeli? I feel like it's not. But thanks for the $2, Knox.
Got through. But the previous report I had seen was that at least 8 ships, this is about a week ago, 8 ships had got through the blockade. Today, commercial trackers are reporting 34 ships.
Why can't the US do a blockade? Like, why? It's surely not that complex for them.
Now that...
Is it because of the floating oil? That's what people claim, that you can do it with oil on sea, and that's how the Iranians are doing it.
May turn out to be an overestimate, but usually these tracking companies are accurate because they can see where the trackers are. Undoubtedly, the Strait of Hormuz is becoming an active war zone again, as we talk about the possibility of a peace negotiation in Islamabad sometime later this week.
And that's what's interesting, what will happen in the next few days, and whether we're looking at the war now commencing at sea.
Yes.
On some level.
I think it's entirely likely that if the Iranians are...
What? Euphoria is actually an Israeli show? Is an Israeli teen drama? The series follows a group of 17-year-olds dealing with sex addiction and loss. Adults appear in the series only rarely. What the hell? Oof. Spawned by skins, though?
Are trying to hit ships that are just trying their luck. And again, none of the ships that we know of today, these 3 ships that we now know of, as far as we know, none of them were tankers. The first 2 that we know a bit more about were cargo ships, container ships. And they may feel that if we're not oil tankers or LNG gas tankers, they're going to let us through, and they may be just trying it. If the Iranians are determined to stop absolutely all ships, then this is maybe their way of doing it. And ships, because they're now getting desperate, there's so many ships tied up, literally
like
backed up on the...
I have literally never heard that Euphoria is an Israeli show. Yeah, it is apparently, and it began that way.
Wrong side of the Strait of Hormuz, and so many sailors now that have been there, merchant seamen who've been there for over a month.
Merchant seamen, way.
That's getting difficult and very, very expensive. So some of the owners are probably trying to think about ways of getting out. I think the Americans will react to this. I mean, they've got plenty of military force in the region, but again, it's a big area of sea. Ships can only be in so many...
I've never watched Euphoria, if I'm honest with you. I've never seen anything about Euphoria. Well, I have seen stuff. I've seen the Sydney Sweeney dog image and the baby image, but... it's not for me.
Places at once. And even though they've got tremendously good oversight of it, surveillance of the whole area from their aircraft, from drones, from satellites.
I can't believe Twitch holds emergency seamen.
They still may not be able to cope with the amount of shipping that there is in the area. And again, I mean, all of this...
Does this guy have a black eye? Right, I've had enough of listening to him. But yeah... I don't know. For me, it's just like this whole situation is bizarre because you've also had the Kabasi letter and other people talking about this, that apparently the Iranians are threatening to cut or have issued a warning saying that they might cut undersea cables between the between the Gulf and Iran. It's just insane. Like, trying to make sense of this is just like impossible. Euphoria is repulsive. I have seen it. Thank you, Tutu, for letting me know that Euphoria is repulsive. Nice to see you. Telling your lady you're cheating watching Da Dog. What does that mean? I really don't know what those words mean. Don't say those words again, please. Just all of this is just unbelievable. And you've got, like... I still don't really get the disconnect. You have a former NATO general saying this.
How worried are you when you see that the proposed peace talks have been postponed?
I am very much concerned. It will...
Okay, he has a funny accent. I didn't listen to this earlier.
Have a serious impact on the world economy, and I foresee this conflict will be dragging out, and the consequences will be severe, not least when it comes to energy prices.
Clearly, at the same time, the ceasefire was extended by...
I don't think they use just scissors to cut undersea cables. No. I think they probably have something more sophisticated. But I think in theory, yes, you just dive down and cut them.
President Trump. It's not like we've seen an immediate return to heavy bombing by the US of Iran. How important is it that that holds? And what is your assessment of the likelihood of significant military hostilities picking up again, particularly in light of these breaking story?
By the way, as well, look at what the Washington Post has just posted. Oh my God. Like, Trump talking about this being over. The hard truth is all of this is incoherent because Trump doesn't know what's going on. And just listen to this. It could take 6 months to fully clear the Strait of Hormuz of mines deployed by the Iranian military. And it's unlikely to be carried out by the US until the US war with Iran ends. The Pentagon has informed Congress, an assessment that means the conflict's economic impact could extend late into this year or beyond. A senior Defense Department official shared the estimate. By the way, we've already lost 1 billion barrels of oil. Shared the estimate, which has not been previously reported during a classified briefing Tuesday for members of the House Armed Services Committee, said 3 officials familiar with the discussion. The timeline met with frustration by Democrats and Republicans alike, 2 of these people said, is perhaps the clearest sign that gasoline prices could remain elevated. I mean, yeah, we are on the escalator to hell. And yeah, they just send people down to chew on the cables.
Of Iranian vessels firing on commercial ships this morning.
Well, I think both parties, both Iran and the US, have an interest in not resuming military attacks and activities. And that's exactly why I think this will be dragging out. It's not easy to achieve a diplomatic result in the near term.
It's also, by the way, the fact that he doesn't state this because, well, I guess he's no longer associated with NATO. It's also really, really, really difficult to... It's also really, really difficult to reach a ceasefire when all of your diplomats are moronic businessmen who don't know anything about what they're talking about.
So I think the world is now confronted with a conflict that will be a very long conflict.
And apparently the Israelis are saying it too. Look, the reason it's so incoherent as well is because all of the talk just doesn't line up with the reality. Like, it just doesn't line up with the reality. It doesn't line up with any part of this. On one point, you have people saying, yep, there's going to be a ceasefire in a few days. And then on the other, you have this reality of growing hostilities. And apparently, there is no way to reach an agreement unless there is a dramatic concession from either the US or Iran, according to Israeli assessments. Given this state of affairs, Israel views a military scenario as highly likely. Who is Gorgeous George? What are you talking about? Who is Gorgeous George? What does Gorgeous George mean and where have you left him? But yeah, I don't know. Apparently Trump's new deadline ends on Sunday. So we didn't know how long it was, but now it's Sunday that it's going to end. So Iran has no plans with talks, according to Tasneem. I mean, how can you have talks with someone who's carrying out the act of war of blockading the Strait of Hormuz? How? How? How do you do that? And here's Trita Parsi on the breaks. Gorgeous George is a pro wrestler.
That the fractures that clearly do exist inside of the Iranian government, as much as they do exist inside of the Trump White House when it comes to negotiating tactic, has risen to the level that that is the obstacle to actually getting a deal. I think far clearer obstacles are that Trump is still asking for unachievable objectives.
By the way, once again, This is actually coherent and cogent analysis that seems to be missing on most places that I don't hear. How do you expect to have a negotiation where the beginning premise of it is just you give up any singular leverage that you have?
In terms of what he's demanding of the Iranian side. There's also a fear on the American side, knowing very well that if they're going to get a deal, they're going to have to lift sanctions in a massive manner. And that will bring about a major fight between the White House and the Israeli government. The Israelis have opposed every deal.
Curious George was the little gentleman monkey who was curious about the world, wasn't he? No?
That the United States has contemplated with Iran that has entailed sanctions relief. And they fought tooth and nail to sabotage those talks. And even when they have been achieved, they have fought to undo them, which they succeeded with getting Trump to walk out of the JCPOA. So there's some real challenges that Trump will have to face if he agrees to a deal. So I think the two sides are far apart from each other on this issue. I've seen no evidence that the problem is that the Iranians are fractured. That is a very convenient narrative for the White House to put out, to essentially win the blame game that is natural in all of these different types of negotiations that collapse or go the wrong way. But to see actual evidence for that, we simply have not seen that.
So you guys are mocking me, calling him a gentleman monkey. Do you not think it is the biggest mark of a gentleman being curious about the world around you? I mean, I don't know what to say. In case you missed it, by the way, as well, Lufthansa cancelled all of its... They cancelled 20,000 short-haul flights this summer.
European Commission is unveiling proposals to deal with widespread concerns. This is about the rising jet fuel price. We reported earlier the German air travel company Lufthansa. Well, they've announced 20,000 short-haul flights will be cut from its schedule this summer amid ongoing concerns. Let's take a listen to what the European Commission said just in the last few minutes.
We stand ready to take further action if the situation could worsen.
I think Curious George had a hat, no? Did he not? But yeah, I mean, the situation is worsening. We're running out of jet fuel. Just wonderful. Just wonderful things are happening. One of the things, though, that I do think could be positive coming out of this is that maybe people will just blame Israel for this, Israel and America, and people will turn on them even more, which is positive.
We don't know how long it could last. We know that we want to respond since the very first moment. 5 sets of actions to be undertaken both at the European level and at the member state level. Thinking on coordination to deploy emergency measures. Thinking on the set of actions that intend to protect consumers and industry from price shocks. In this regard, we are concluding our works on a state aid temporary framework while keeping the possibility to deploy targeted and temporary measures to support...
Sorry, Curious George never had a hat, did he? Curious George didn't ever wear a hat, eh? Eh? What's this? Curious George in a fucking hat.
Those most affected by this crisis.
Well, let's bring in our Europe...
I mean, the action that the US should have been taken by European nations is standing up instead of arse-licking Trump and genuinely believing that the US in any way was doing good things for the world. Friedrich Merz told him that he was doing Israel was doing Europe's dirty work in Iran.
Correspondent Alistair Bunkle, can you help us understand, Alistair, a bit more about these emergency measures?
Yeah, I mean, that's not his hat. Oh, you never heard about finders keepers? George has a hat.
The big context, of course, is what you were just speaking to Michael about. It is the ongoing blockade of the Strait of Hormuz and the impact that is having on the global economy, and in this context, particularly the European economy. And just to put some figures on that, since the start of the Iran war, the EU as as a total body of member states has spent more than 24 billion euros extra on importing fuel than it would have done normally. It imports around 40% of its aviation fuel. About half of that comes from the Middle East. So it's having an impact already, but we are now starting to see how that impact is going to affect sort of everyday life, everyday people. Lufthansa last night announcing that they're cancelling 20,000 flights over the next 4 to 5 months. By my rough calculations, that's around sort of 130 a day. And Lufthansa, of course, is not just a single airline. It includes Brussels Airlines, Swiss, Austrian, and others. So that is,
I wanted to go to Europe this summer. That ain't happening. And I mean, yeah, the way that they pronounce the Strait of Hormuz is wonderful. Sometimes it's Hormuz, the Strait of Hormuz, or sometimes it's the Strait of Hormuz, Straits of Hormuz.
Major step. Some other airlines within Europe as well have announced much smaller cancellations, but cancellations nonetheless. And we're seeing airlines around the world, but also in Europe, levying surcharges on airline tickets for customers. So this is potentially the start of the impact on the travelling public as we go into the summer season, the holiday season, the tourist season. And so what the EU is announcing today is kind of twofold, if you like. One is a way of making sure that Europe is more energy sufficient itself, and that means a move.
Yeah, true. Sorry, mainland Europe, I should have said. Yes, I'm in Europe.
More accelerated move towards green energy.
Yes, they did open it. My Twitch stream on Friday and my stream title on Friday was Strait of Hormuz was open because because Abbas Araghchi tweeted the Strait of Hormuz is open. Ostensibly, that position was undergirded by the US opening and ending their blockade. The US then changed their mind and did not open it. And so, yeah. By the way, just looking at the poll, it's really looking like you guys are voting for yes for Curious George possessing a hat.
Fuel pumps in houses, solar panels, etc.
Thank you, Woke Militia, for being here. Have a lovely rest of the day.
That's long term. And the second is about the short term crisis. And it'll be things like making sure that fuel reserves, different countries have different levels of fuel reserves, well, that they could be shared if in a crisis scenario. And actually, about an hour ago, I was speaking to the head of Italy's Civil Aviation Authority, who has warned that this is a crisis that Europe's not faced the likes of before. And he was suggesting that, a little bit like COVID, people consider spending their summers in their home countries and not travelling this year.
I mean, just troubling shit. Troubling shit is emerging. Troubling shit is going on. What even happens? Like, how do you fix this situation? And by the way, Hezbollah have been attacking the Israelis again. So alarms were triggered in the far north earlier today. Israeli media reports that occupation army forces in southern Lebanon were hit again. Hezbollah publishes afterwards, our archers are skilled, our arrows are plentiful, and our missiles are even more numerous. In defense of Lebanon and its people, and in response to the Israeli army's enemies' violations of the ceasefire, as well as its continued aggression against villages in southern Lebanon, using artillery fire, fighters of the Islamic resistance targeted a newly established artillery position belonging to the Israeli enemy army in the town of Al-Badaya at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, April 22nd, using a self-destructing drone. Flames were subsequently observed erupting within one of the fire control rooms. George does not wear a hat, you cretin. George wears a hat, and I've seen him wearing a hat. Shut up. Thanks for the €2, but don't lie. Don't lie in your donations. Also, apparently, this is from Debel, which is where the beautiful statue of Christ was taken down by the Israeli who had not yet found Jesus. Italian UNIFIL soldiers were the ones who rebuilt the statue. The Israelis tried to send them that golden one, and they didn't accept it. The town rejected it. Sounds like a very messy long-distance relationship. Indeed, all of this is messy as hell. All of this is messy as hell and doesn't make any sense at all. There's also some fucking horrifying story emerging out of in southern Lebanon. Hold on, let me pull this up. You creep with George doesn't, just said you creep with George doesn't wear a hat. George does wear a hat. I've seen him wearing a hat, and that's enough out of this. Let me just find this statement. Yeah. So, apparently, two Lebanese journalists, Amal Khalil and Zainab Faraj, are currently surrounded and trapped by the Israeli military at the scene of an earlier strike on a car near Al-Tairi, which will reportedly killed 2 civilians. Apparently Zainab is seriously injured, has been brought to a hospital with the bodies of 2 civilians who were killed in the initial attack. Amal Khalil remains missing and rescue crews are unable to reach her. Amal Khalil is missing after successive Israeli strikes. And apparently the ambulance was shot by the Israelis. I don't know, that just sounds 100% true. Yeah, also, what is wrong with being curious as to whether George wore a hat? I feel like that's the kind of message to do with the whole show, is it not? That one should be curious and think about the world around us. Yeah. Both a yellow banana peel themed hat. Okay, right. I'm not quite done streaming yet, so maybe we should watch a bit of this. Maybe we should watch a bit of this Piers Morgan talking to...
Has to be very careful. Communities in Israel staged a protest.
Talking to... this is Piers Morgan talking to Israelis. Let's see how this is.
This weekend against the ceasefire in Lebanon. Israel sees its war on Hezbollah as inseparable from the Iran war. Most Israelis support it. And there's every chance that Netanyahu will suffer big political consequences if Trump decrees an early end to the war that Netanyahu persuaded him to start. In any case, the state of Israel...
You never read Tintin? I used to watch the shit out of the Tintin DVDs. Oh my god. The trouble that the professor was getting himself into. What a guy.
Could be living with the consequences of Netanyahu's decisions for many years to come. Many formerly reliable allies of Israel eventually condemned the war in Gaza and moved to recognise...
Marcus Ryan, thank you for the €5, but I think your statement is a lie. Theodore Ted Shackelford owned the hat. You are a liar on Lenin's birthday too. He loved that little curious guy with all his heart. Unsubscribed. Yeah, I heard he was a wife guy and also a curious George guy.
As a Palestinian state. Well, today the Spanish government will formally ask the entire European Union to sever its ties with Israel over its violations of international law. And here in the United States, where it matters most, support for Israel is cratering.
Okay, I don't want to hear... If I wanted to hear the Pigeon Lady monologue, I would probably have listened to... and watched Home Alone.
Situation. Joining me to debate all of this is former Israeli hostage negotiator Gershon Baskin, retired Lieutenant Colonel and IDF spokesman Jonathan Conricus, Ishai Fleischer, the international spokesperson for the Jewish community of Hebron and advisor to...
By the way, just bringing that up, this guy lives in illegally occupied Hebron. He's a big fan of... Ben Gvir and also gave Loner Box and Destiny a tour of the West Bank. Probably worth mentioning, Piers Morgan.
The Israeli government, and Gideon Levy, author and commentator for Haaretz. So welcome to all of you.
Stop with this thing of saying that the Kooks were named after Abraham Kook. They were not named after Rabbi Cook. That's not true.
Jonathan Conricus, let's just start, if we may, with this appalling image of an IDF soldier in southern Lebanon attacking and destroying an icon of Jesus Christ with a sledgehammer.
By the way, there was an image of an Israeli soldier playing football, putting his boot on a Palestinian skull. And that image received far less interest than this one did.
And this is now...
And also, like, in Western media, does no one remember that the Israelis kept, I don't know, posting fucking photos of dead humanitarian aid workers?
Being confirmed by Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu said today, I was stunned and saddened to learn that an IDF soldier damaged a Catholic religious icon in southern Lebanon. I condemn the act in the strongest terms. We express regret for the incident and for any hurt this has caused to believers in Lebanon and around the world. And the IDF itself posted on X, the IDF views the incident with great severity and emphasises the soldiers' conduct is wholly inconsistent with the values expected of its troops. The IDF is working to assist the community in restoring the statue to its place. A priest in Debel said the cross was part of a small shrine in the garden of a family living on the edge of the village. There will be many American Christians, Jonathan, who...
What's a fraud that a poll found that you guys think that Curious George possessed a hat? Oh, I guess it's fraud to do polling now.
Who are already probably reeling, if they're Catholic, from President Trump's constant attacks against Pope Leo. But they're now looking at this and thinking, why are we supporting this attack on Iran with Israel if the IDF in Lebanon are desecrating icons of Jesus Christ? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I wouldn't. Hello, Piers. Shalom from Israel. I wouldn't make any, connection between the two different things. One is American foreign policy, the pursuit of defeating the Iranian regime, making sure that they don't have nuclear weapons, and protecting Americans and American interest from a future significant threat against the US. That's one thing. That's the why.
Exactly. That is all this boils down to. And the fact that so much of the discourse in mainstream media is not picking up on or questioning why would Israel be more obsessed with this statue than defending overt war crimes that they've perpetrated is so bizarre.
The US is fighting against Iran has...
Also, I'm going to leave this on and I'm going to be listening. So if you're typing anything in the chat, I'll see it. But I'm going to go for a little pee. Again.
Absolutely nothing to do with this reprehensible act, criminal act by an Israeli soldier. I hope that what the Prime Minister said and what the IDF has publicly said will happen, that there will be swift and transparent disciplinary measures. This is a soldier who I don't think he is fit to serve, definitely not in combat, and maybe not in the IDF at all, and should be punished for desecrating a religious symbol. And I think that it's absolutely contrary to everything that we stand for. I could only wish that, I saw your tweet, which got 1 million views, and I've seen lots of other coverage of it. Obviously, the usual people are out there feasting, not necessarily you in this category, but the usual anti-Semites feasting on this reprehensible act by an IDF soldier. Didn't see these same people even tweet when, hundreds of Christians were massacred in Nigeria, or when churches were bombed and desecrated by Muslims in Syria or Iran or Iraq or any other place, or when Christians in Arab Christians in Palestine are forced to flee out of persecution by Sunni Muslims. It is something special when Jews are caught on camera doing horrible and indefensible actions to Christian symbols. But I suggest that we put, we check and treat everything as, equal. Last thing I'll say, and I think the Prime Minister said it pretty clearly.
Fucking incredible. Sunni Muslim persecution of Christians apparently is the major issue. Now, I'm thinking that maybe those Sunni Muslims being persecuted by Israel alongside those Christians is the bigger problem, but they don't matter for your propaganda, do they? They're not the people you're interested in propagandizing.
Action when Jews are caught on camera doing horrible and indefensible actions to Christian symbols. But I suggest that we put, we check and...
Also, really, really, really funny to be like, look, ISIS, the Islamic State, blew up churches and stuff, so that's worse, isn't it? That's worse, isn't it, guys? The Islamic State are worse than us, right, guys? Guys? You should think instead of Muslim. Exactly.
And treat everything as, equal. Last thing I'll say, and I think the Prime Minister said it pretty clearly, if we put things into context and to answer the question of, Christians supporting Israel, Israel is the only country in the Middle East where Christians are safe. Israel is the only country where there's freedom of worship in the Middle East. Israel is the only country in the Middle East that has a growing and safe Christian population, where Christians are participating in public and political and economic and academic life. They are free to choose every...
By the way, there would be plenty of Christians doing this in Lebanon as well. The Prime Minister of Lebanon is a Christian. Like, how is this your justification? Like, the Prime Minister of Lebanon is literally a Christian. It literally says it on the second paragraph. Born to a Maronite Christian family. What do you mean? Christians are participating in political life, and didn't Bibi arm ISIS? They didn't make a bigger song and dance about treating ISIS fighters.
Profession, and they live very good lives, excellent lives, like me and many others do in Israel, contrary to everything else that happens in the Middle East. And I think that is important context. But to summarize and to be very clear, reprehensible, shouldn't have been done. I hope swift action is taken, and I hope that people can look beyond this, which is clickbaity and very interesting on an internet level, and recognize who the real villains and who the real people in the Middle East who are religiously intolerant. Those are the fanatic Muslims. They do far worse than bash the head of a statue, as insensitive and horrible as...
By the way, also, extremists amongst these like Muslim groups also do this to other Muslims, right? Like, you know that, right? Like, the Islamic State murdered multiple Alawites, many Shias. They desecrated Shia shrines. This notion of, like, this one homogenous blob of bad guy evil Muslims is pretty insane. But, of course, this is literally a spokesperson who justified every single war crime that Israel was perpetrating and had no problem with being the figurehead, like a spokesman for that genocidal entity.
That is, they take the lives of Christians themselves or they persecute them. So let's keep that into perspective as we continue speaking.
Yeah, some might view the actions of the IDF soldier to be a pretty extraordinary example of intolerance, actually, particularly of someone else's religious beliefs. But let me come to Gideon Levy, because this dovetails with a very disturbing report that Haaretz, the publication that you write for, put a report out over the weekend featuring anonymous interviews with former IDF soldiers detailing atrocities they'd witnessed in Gaza. One described serving in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza in December.
Like, I'm just going to point out, he is reading out statements of Israeli soldiers admitting to witnessing and perpetrating war crimes, and yet, these two are giving stronger words on a statue.
December 2023, when a platoon noticed suspicious figures and fired, he said, when we got to a destination, I realised these weren't terrorists. It was an old guy and 3 boys, maybe teenagers. Not one of them was armed, but their bodies were riddled with bullets. Then the battalion commander came over with his people, and one spat on the bodies and yelled, "This is what happens to anybody who messes with Israel, you sons of bitches." Another soldier described a shooting at an army outpost in southern Gaza. She said, suddenly the soldiers on watch noticed 5 Palestinians crossing the line they weren't allowed to cross, heading for northern Gaza. The battalion commander gave an order to overwhelm them with fire, even though they hadn't been confirmed as armed or anything like that. A tank started shooting at them with its machine gun, hundreds of bullets. 4 of the 5 Palestinians were killed. A few hours later, a bulldozer buried them in the sand. The article also describes...
By the way, as well... there's this great article by David Sheen, which talks about these 2 genocidal brothers. One of them, Golan Vach, who spread the lies about burnt babies and stuff, and then another one called Yehuda Vach, who's committed a multitude of different war crimes. Yehuda Vach I can't remember what his actual role is. His role is Yehuda. He's a brigadier general. He's been commanding the Netzarim corridor. This guy is just a straight-up mass murderer, genocidal monster who is just great friends with the... like, meeting with Israeli, high-ranking military Israeli figure. Hold on. Yehuda Vach, Israel Katz. Like, Israel Katz have met Yehuda Vach. This Yehuda Vach guy, who has ordered mass killings of Palestinians, is meeting with the top brass of the Israeli military. Yeah, like literally, on this article, Katz approved the IOF battle plan following a meeting with blah 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 blah, and Brigadier General Yehuda Vach. But of course, this is just a couple of soldiers being a bit mean.
Sniper who shot people seeking aid, and drone operation.
And of course, it's forever fuck the genocidal state of Israel. This is not some one-off. People are just more concerned with the statue because it's indefensible. Like, it's just indefensible. That's it. That's it. All of their crimes are indefensible. But this one, whenever they attack whenever they blow up Christians normally, they're just like, yep, actually there were evil people hidden there. That's it. That's it. There were evil people hidden there, so we had a right to do it. Even though that's obviously a fucking lie as well. This is indefensible because they're just watching this video of, because it's just a video of the guy doing it. If there was a cross blown up and there was images of a cross just like on the floor, this guy would sit here and justify it and be like, no, we were actually just targeting terrorists in the area.
Who killed civilians. And there was a lot more very, very shocking detail in this investigation. So you put it together, you know, much as people will listen to Jonathan Comricus and understand context is important, but the combination of that appalling image of this IDF soldier desecrating a statue of Jesus with this report in your publication, it certainly is testing extremely hard, I would argue, this constant refrain we hear that the IDF is the most moral army in the world.
But here's the thing: maybe the statue was actually the terror state. I mean, that's true, but the truth is people care less about actual human beings than a cross. The thing is it's only because this photo exists, though. Like, these same Christians who are seeing Christian villages being bombarded, the residents being displaced and the suffering, justify that. They justify the suffering of said Christians. They justify the destruction of all of their property. It is literally just because this looks bad to the group that Israelis want to propagandize that there is any kind of pushback. That is fucking it. And look at all this. Who's smug face? Look at Piers, look at Fleischer, and look at Cornicus, or whatever his name is.
World.
I can assure you that Jonathan will say that those were exceptions. You will bring more and more testimonies by soldiers, and you will always hear the Israeli denial, the Israeli self-denial. There will always be Jonathans who will explain us that those exceptions don't tell us the full story. They will talk about the context, and I want to talk about the context. The context...
It was a dual-use statue.
Context of the soldier who broke this sculpture of Jesus, and the context of those horrible and horrifying stories that we read last Friday in Haaretz is the same context. An army.
By the way, this is an insane panel because this guy here said to Lonerbox, he said, Baruch Goldstein didn't, he said, what did he say? He said, Baruch, he's got an American accent. He's like, I can't do his accent. Anyway, he was like, Baruch Goldstein didn't go to medical school for 5 years for you to call him Mr. Goldstein. He was talking about a guy who massacred 29 worshippers at the Ibrahimi Mosque.
Who is now preoccupied in a brutal occupation for decades now, cannot behave otherwise. You cannot maintain such an occupation for so many years and remain human. Doesn't work.
I really enjoy him saying that Israelis aren't human on the Piers Morgan show. Like, if a Palestinian or someone who was against, who was like a non-Israeli dared to say that, he would have, Piers would have been like, how dare you say that? You're calling Israelis not human. Do you condemn October the 7th? Why is it that you admire Piers Morgan so much? Is it because of his journalistic ethics or because of his sexual panther aura? I mean, the second one is obviously weighty and weighs heavy in my mind, but yeah. I would say that weighs heavy in my mind. This guy, by the way, wants this guy just wants mass killings. This guy wants them and justifies them for the actual military. But this guy's just Ben-Gvir's spokesperson.
Didn't work in any other occupation in the world. And the best thing that people like Jonathan can do is once to look at the truth and to admit it. Because we, first of all, need it. We Israelis. What will make people realize that we grow a monster in front of our eyes? What will they make them being convinced that we crossed any possible line? You know, Piers, there are 6 million uprooted people now in the Middle East, wandering around from here to there. Part of them lost their homes forever. In Gaza, in Lebanon, in Iran. Are we really proud to be a country which creates such a reality for 6 million human beings? Isn't it the time once to look at the truth and say, yes, we went too far? Our megalomaniac dreams, our belief that only by force and only by military force without any...
Piers does this for views because he still asks people, do you condemn Hamas? And like goes on and on about October the 7th. It's just views. It's like Ethan Klein. He occasionally, he's not even been as strong as Ethan Klein has and been like, there's a genocide, blah, 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 blah. He sometimes goes, I think it's starting to constitute genocide, but then still goes to bat for fucking Israel.
Any restraints will solve the problems. I don't deny there are problems, there are enemies, there are dangers. But look what we are doing. We are now in all fronts around, refusing any ceasefire. Thanks God we had Donald Trump to stop these 2 wars now. Otherwise, we would continue it forever. And the Jonathans would justify. And they will never acknowledge that something went wrong, that something is sick, basically. Not exceptions. I was today in the West Bank. I'm there every week.
This guy just lives in the West Bank. He is literally just an illegal settler living in the West Bank amongst one of the most militant, violent communities there.
There's no exceptions anymore. The pogroms of the settlers together with the soldiers, together, planned together, committed together. This is not an exception. This is an army of occupation who cannot operate otherwise but become more and more and more brutal.
Yeah, my main problem with Levy, or like where I would have a conflict with Levy, is basically he is kind of this type of person that believes after 67 Israel was corrupted forever. I think from its inception Israel was wrong, immoral and unjust. That's really the issue. And I think that like kind of trying to save Zionism at this point is insane, because he's like, oh, you can't occupy and do this. To be honest, you can't build a state off mass ethnic cleansing without being immoral, unjust, and extreme. And that's my problem with Levy. Like, I don't, that's where, like, I would have a major conflict with him. I think one of you said that he said he was a proud Israeli. Was that Gershon Baskin, this guy? Surprisingly not MAGA rapper Forgiato Blow. But that's that's Gershon Baskin. He probably needs to appear kind of neutral or the Israelis might start boycotting his show. Can you imagine? That must be his final viewer base, Israelis. I saw IOF do horrors to children, but how do you explain October the 7th? Exactly. I'm so morally scarred by what Israel's done in Gaza that I've turned on them. But all of the stuff they did before in Gaza and everywhere, I don't really care about, and it doesn't factor into this. And the Israelis had to respond to October the 7th. What do you do, right? Imagine if Hamas had done October the 7th, and then after October the 7th, they were like, right, Yahya Sinwar did some war crimes and he supported them. Let's take him out. The Israelis just had to accept it. They weren't allowed any kind of response. They just had to get a bit of a whoopsie-daisy, we're sorry about that. And then 10 years later, the Palestinians elected Yahya Sinwar as the governor over all Israelis. How would they fucking feel? How would they fucking feel? Also, someone called Monkey Desire has just joined. By the way, do you know anything about Curious George? Do you know anything about Curious George and whether he wore a hat?
And here,
like, Palestinians they're always like, oh, Israel had to respond after October the 7th. What did Palestinians have to do with all of the stealing of their land, the attacks on the the attacks on the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the crippling siege of Gaza. What were they supposed to do? What were they supposed to do? I'd love to know.
We see the result, and the result you just showed when someone like Rami Manuel, who speaks Hebrew, who spent some years, I think, in Israel, for him it is enough. He says enough is enough. Not me, the self-hating Jew. Someone who was a real, genuine friend of Israel says enough is enough. And you will hear more and more of those voices. And the only way to put an end to it is, first of all, to recognize, to realize that something is wrong with us, for God's sake.
I realize it's a One Piece reference, but that doesn't preclude you from having expertise in other monkeys.
Well, strong words there. Ishai Fleischer, the Rahm Emanuel comments I thought were very striking. He's a very high-profile American Jew, basically saying it's time for America to stop treating Israel as an...
Who is Robert Emanuel? Is that who they're talking about?
American Jew. Your comments I thought were very striking. He's a very high-profile... the Rahm Emanuel comments I thought were very striking. He's a very high-profile American Jew.
Sorry, Rahm Emanuel. Yeah.
Basically saying it's time for America to stop treating Israel as an exceptional country that is worthy of our billions of dollars of support. They should be treated the same as everybody else. And that comes with the backdrop of this Pew Research Center survey showing that more than 60% of Americans now view Israel unfavorably, up from 50%.
I also, by the way, I love how all of these, like, Israel supremacists who think Israel are, like, winning and how they're guaranteed this future just are totally unwilling to confront the fact that basically everyone in Western, everyone in European society just absolutely just hates Israel. Like, that this is just a massively growing thing, that Israel is wholly unpopular.
53% only last year. Now, I'm old enough to remember when these kind of numbers would be utterly unthinkable 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So, as somebody like me who loves Israel as a country, loves Israeli people, has many, many Jewish friends around the world, from LA to Sydney to London, and has...
Nice! Mr. International up in here. Mr. International up in here. He loves Israel. He's got Jewish friends all over the globe. Fair play, my guy.
Become increasingly critical myself of the Israeli government, this one, and how it's been behaving, and critical of many of the actions of the IDF at the behest of its government. I share this sentiment, which is Israel, this government has to be very careful.
It is just sort of weird to just declare your love for another country. I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe I would do it for certain countries that I've been to, but still, just being like, I love the country that I think is doing war crimes feels a little bit different and a little bit weird.
Careful now that it doesn't drive more and more people to hate Israel, which is clearly what is happening. Are you, as somebody who advises the Israeli government, are you aware of this potential crisis? Are you concerned about it? Or do you not care?
Yeah, so of course we're concerned about Israel's image around the world. There's no question about it. And there is a crisis. There's no doubt about it. It's fueled in part by anti-Israel media and by very serious...
This guy talking about anti-Israel media. Motherfucker, if you're advising the Israeli government and you're like BFFs with Ben Gvir... hold on. Save him a jazz... Let's just... Like, there is literally just a photo here of Yishai Fleischer with Ben Gvir. Here's a very grainy, like, 1 pixel image of Yishai Fleischer smiling with Ben Gvir. Like, motherfucker, you might be the problem when it comes to Israel's image. Timu Mr. Worldwide. Yeah.
Work by anti-Israel elements. They might be in Qatar, they might be in Russia, they might be in Iran, they might even be in China via TikTok. And we've...
And by the way, also so obvious, this kind of thing of being like, hey, this is done by propaganda online, shows you how disconnected you are from the reality. This is everywhere. It is not one country sponsoring this at all.
Lost market share. There's no question about it. And actually, I could talk about that a lot. But we are certainly concerned about it. No doubt about it. We're concerned about it. But that doesn't mean that we can give up our fight to exist. Jewish people haven't been liked for 2,000 years, and yet we were persecuted. And now we're not so liked, but we're still persecuted, but we can fight back. And just in a few minutes today is Israel Memorial.
I also, by the way, such a disgusting spit in the face of historical persecution of Jewish people. Such an utterly, utterly, utterly despicable comment, because obviously Jewish people once upon a time were genuinely persecuted for just being Jewish people. Now people do not like Israel because of the actions of a state. Shut up, stop lying. Exactly. It's such a disservice to like people, to like genuinely people who suffered at the hands of anti-Semites in across Europe, like genuine like just grotesque suffering and marginalization, and now they're like that. This is the exact same thing, man. It's because we fight back now that things are this way.
Memorial Day, there'll be a siren here, remembering all the folks that fell in Israel's wars. But if you ask the average person, the average Israeli who's sitting in cafes, he thinks this war is just. He knows that we've got to push back bad guys. He knows that we have to restore life to the northern communities and to the Gaza envelope communities. We've got to restore that life. We can't allow the jihad to come and crush us. And that's what Iran has been doing. It's been creating a chokehold with its proxies.
And of course, but I mean, it's not just like conflating it with all Jewish people. It is talking in this legacy of like genuine extermination that happened against Jewish people and just being like, yep, same thing today. Same thing. Exact same thing. When it's like, most people don't care. Like, the vast majority of people don't care about Jewish people. And Jewish people generally, Jewish people are not suffering persecution en masse at the hands of states, or, like, suffering discrimination and racism in the same way that, I don't know, like, black people and minorities and immigrants are. Like, there are... For all of the comments about rising anti-Semitism, sure, like, it's troubling that there are attacks on synagogues. That's bad, and we should prevent stuff like that. People shouldn't be trying to firebomb places of worship. However, simultaneously, there are regularly anti-migrant protests in the UK where people try and attack, like, you know, places where migrants are living. And there are people in the upper echelons of power who push the exact rhetoric that justifies it. Like, yep, we need to get them out. They've destroyed our country. They're evil. Rupert Lowe, for example, an actual politician in the UK who is just like an ultra-nationalist, far-right individual.
Hezbollah and Hamas, they plan to murder us. They plan to destroy.
Not if they host land sales. I think even then, like, firebombing is probably just... It's firebombing a synagogue that's hosting a land sale is obviously not something that I'm ever going to endorse. Because, like, just doing firebombings of places of worship is bad. Having a protest at a synagogue where there is land sales occurring, fair enough. I can't see how in any way that would not be justified.
Us, and they did a pretty good job on October 7th. Now we're pushing them back, and the average Israeli is proud of the war that we have fought.
And that's where the problem lies. That's why people don't like Israel.
And the fact that we're not as liked around the world, that's really a shame. It's too bad. People like Jonathan doing an amazing job explaining Israel.
I mean, it's also one other major thing to note about vis-a-vis like oppression of Jewish people or whatever historically, is that Jewish people used to be spoken about as evil immigrants in Western society who were degrading our society with their different cultural practices and blah, 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 blah. You know, do you get what I'm saying? Like, these people who are just like, yep, we're anti-immigrants because they all support Palestine and stuff. And it's like, literally, you used to say this about Jewish people.
But with regard to Rahm Emanuel's statements about money to Israeli armament, I agree with Rahm Emanuel. Let's not receive any more handouts. Let's make what really these funds are. Let's rename them, which is joint development funding for munitions. Israel is real world testing.
Let's rename the funds so we can keep having them.
battle theater testing the F-35, and it's generating tons of sales around the world because Israel is actually the best ally the United States has, the fighting ally. Look at the NATO allies. They've been getting money for years for defense. They've done nothing to defend the United States. They're just receiving handouts. Israel has shown itself throughout this process as strong economically, militarily, and I think there's going to be a shift back at the end of this war, and people see who's standing in this war.
But you know what I would say? Okay.
I don't know if I don't know if this is just cope or delusion to think that you are pushing this back, but you are not fixing this. Have we ever talked about just war theory on stream? I feel like it might be an interesting. What the hell is just war theory? What do you, as in, can there ever be just war?
But what I would say to that, Ishai, is that, you know, I remember in the Iraq War, one of the most devastating images that came out of that war.
I don't know whether to. Thank you for the €5, by the way. Thank you, by the way. But what do you mean by just war theory?
Was the Abu Ghraib image of American troops abusing Iraqi civilians, and it shocked America, profoundly shocked America, and caused enormous damage actually to America.
By the way, also, so funny to bring up Abu Ghraib as like, oh my god, this shocked Americans. When you're sat talking to Israelis, a guy who was the spokesman for the Israeli military, when there are, like, images proudly shown on Israeli television of people being tortured by the Israelis. And also how the guy he associates with, Itamar Ben-Gvir, is literally films himself doing that. Just war theory is a doctrine referred to as a tradition that aims to ensure that a war is morally justifiable through a set of criteria, all of which must be met for a war to be considered just. What are the criteria? Oh, criteria. The war directs to norms that aim to require competent authority. Only duly constituted public authorities may wage a war. I mean, this is like the basis of states currently. A just war must be initiated by a political authority within a political system that allows distinction of justice. Dictatorships or deceptive military actions are typically considered as violations of this criterion. I mean, you know, it's basically just a right that Israel would be the only country that ever had a right to wage a war ever, and anyone else doing it would be immoral because they're not technically states and they'd be dictatorships or what have you. There must be good grounds for concluding that the aims of the war, just war, are achievable. I mean, this would have precluded basically every American invasion. Iraq had more like achievable and well, Iraq didn't. Spreading freedom and democracy is impossible. Last resort, of course, last resort wouldn't actually work for any American war. Just cause, the need scope for going to war needs to be just and cannot therefore be solely for recapturing things taken or punishing people who have done wrong. Innocent life must be in imminent danger. I mean, yeah, it's interesting. I'd have to read more. Obviously, it does not meet these criteria. Like, some of these aspects sound interesting, but then it's just like, well, only a competent authority can. Who gets to decide is the problem, and it would just be whoever is the most powerful. Also, gonna keep it playing, but I'm gonna go pee again. Sorry, I've had too much water and tea and stuff today.
America's reputation, to American military's reputation, and so on. This image that came out overnight of this IDF soldier desecrating a statue of Jesus Christ, I don't think it's as bad as the Abu Ghraib images, which were truly appalling and involved a lot of people. But as a singular image, you know, when you're trying to persuade a country like America, which is majority Christian, so has hundreds of millions of Christians living in it, when you're trying to persuade them of the validity of committing the American military to a war that was clearly being driven by Benjamin Netanyahu to promote Israel's interests, when you're trying to do that, hard to imagine a more damaging image to come out than the one we saw that came out overnight. Because it'll have hundreds of millions of Americans asking themselves, why are we fighting with these people?
Okay, so first thing, that image is not a win, and it should have never been done, and both the Army and the Foreign Ministry has apologized, and rightfully so. So that's the end of that, meaning to say it was a bad thing to do. And you're right, it's definitely a harmful image. But most American Christians still know the Bible, and they know that the jihadists are not the Bible. Don't let Palestine win. It'll take over Israel and destroy the biblical story. Israel is a biblical story coming to life right now, the return of the Jewish people, the ingathering, the rebuilding of Jerusalem. It's an amazing story, and most Christians who love Israel will continue to support Israel. And with regarding going to you threw in a phrase there which I can't let it slide. You said, this is a war that Bibi Netanyahu has been pursuing to further Israel's interests. This is a war against the fusion of jihadism and communism, which the Iranian regime has been promulgating around the world. They want to destroy you, and they want to destroy your London. They want to destroy the United States. They want to destroy Israel. This is a battle for liberty.
This guy is mental. Did Piers Morgan just bring them on to give them fucking to give them advice on how to do better propaganda? Mate, you guys should be hotter on this stuff because you've got to convince a lot of Christians to like you. And also just listening to a guy talk about biblical stories in a time of mass...
Liberty.
In a time where you're mass slaughtering people is insane. Hold on, let me just re-listen to that. I missed the communist jihadism.
Slide, you said, this is a war that Bibi Netanyahu has been pursuing to further Israel's interests. This is a war against the fusion of jihadism and communism, which the Iranian regime has been promulgating around the world. They want to
How is Iran pushing across the world jihadism and communism? Iran very famously cracked down on left-wing politics.
Destroy you, and they want to destroy your London. They want to destroy the United States. They want to destroy Israel. This is a battle for liberty. Liberty. It's a global battle for liberty. It's sad that a lot of people don't see that. They think the way you kind of phrased it, which is like this is about Israel's security interests or Israel's interest. No, or maybe it's about oil and money. No, this is about liberty for the world. It's about a fight against a regime. I heard your interview with the Iranian professor before this panel, and you were saying to them like, hey, you can't speak the truth in your country. You can't say what you want. This is a autocratic regime, and he wouldn't admit that. But that's the truth. And these guys have killed their own people. Look at my colleagues on this panel, right? They'll rip Israel, but they'll not mention jihadism or what Iran has done to its own people. The fact that they tried to kill President Trump, the fact that they murder people in the streets, the fact that they've attacked Israel for decades. And so this is a just war. Israelis feel that bad actions like the destruction of this Christian statue is wrong, and we'll rectify it. But the war is just, and we're going to keep fighting and be successful.
Yeah, jihadi communism is just Judeo-Bolshevism. It is alarmism because there is a rising tide against Israel, and so they're pushing back tried and tested techniques to push back something that had genuine popularity amongst people because it diagnosed a very problematic thing in the world, which obviously here is Israel's genocidal war crimes against Palestinians that most people do not want.
And people will be with us, lovers of the Bible and lovers of Israel will see the truth.
Okay, Gershon Baskin, what's your response to that?
My response to that is that the war might be a just war, but it's not the responsibility of the people of Israel or the people of the United States to change the horrible regime of Iran. It is the responsibility of the Iranian people. This is a war which cannot be won, just like the war in Gaza could not be won and the war against Hezbollah could not be won. These are political, diplomatic struggles that need to have political and diplomatic solutions. There is no military solution here. President Trump could...
By the way, it's also so incredible that Piers Morgan has the gall to talk about all of this when he's actually just like good friends with Trump. He regularly shows off that Trump rings him up and thinks of him as a friend.
Declare the end of the war, but the conflicts are still here, and the conflicts will not be resolved through the military. I think also, Pierce, I want to point out that the image of the destruction of the statue of Jesus is horrible, but what's even more horrible is the pictures of the destruction of 38 villages south of the Litani River that the Israeli army has done over the last weeks. The cutting off of more than 1 million Lebanese people from their homes by bombing all the bridges across the Litani River is a much more dramatic image that needs to be addressed, because the people of Lebanon are also against Hezbollah, the majority of them, and there is an opportunity for a process of peace between the state of Israel and the government of Israel, but doing the things that Israel did in Lebanon, just like we did in Gaza, and our own military spokespeople, our Minister of Defense and other people in our government have said we're going to do in Lebanon what we did in Gaza. We committed war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza, and there are 2 million homeless people in Gaza who are suffering now for 5 months after the war has ended, and there's no relief there. This is not a Middle East that we can live in or that we should want to live in. There is no majesty in the military might of Israel when so many people in this region are being killed. And
there is a proposal in Texas to pass the Mamdani Act, measures against Marxism's dangerous adherents and noxious Islamists. Imagine calling Mamdani a noxious Islamist Marxist. Like, Mamdani is spending most of his time focusing on local issues and meeting with the democratic establishment.
Homeless and destroyed. This is not a region that we can repair through the might of our military.
Okay, Jonathan, you're shaking your head there. Why?
I'm shaking my head because voices and opinions that are being shared here by two, esteemed.
Is that even correct that most Lebanese are against Hezbollah? According to a Gallup poll, but a previous poll suggested that it's about 90% of Shias who make up the plurality, so they're the largest majority, but they're not the majority of the country. 90% of Shia support it, about 30% of Christians and Sunni Muslims support it, slightly higher in Sunni Muslims, slightly lower in Christians, but overall the support for Hezbollah is not zero, of course. Oh, have I just gone offline? No.
And very knowledgeable professionals, and I say this very respectfully without any cynicism. I've read Gideon's articles for decades, and I've seen Baskin's work, and we've met, and I know and respect both. But I think the irony, the sad situation is that you two,
I'm MAGA, Marxist, and have a great ass, genius.
have been murdered by Hamas on October 7 if they got close to you as well. They would have murdered you, they would have butchered you, they would have done exactly the same things to you with your high morals, with your sympathy for the enemy, with your warm...
And of course, Israelis have butchered and exterminated Palestinians regardless of whether they support peace or not,
and genuinely caring hearts for the suffering of the other side, they would have done the exact same atrocious acts that they did to 1,300 Israelis.
Jonathan, I don't argue with you. I don't argue with you on that point. Israel had to respond to October 7th, but we didn't have to wage a war for 2 years.
Gideon, you mentioned my name 4 times when you spoke. I didn't interrupt, and I gave you the respect that I think you're entitled to. Please don't, Gershon, sorry. Please don't interrupt. And I just want to say this. I think that you are missing the point, and you...
By the way, I can't believe this guy just capitulated to that. He has had to listen to these two morons for like 20 minutes.
You're still wearing the October 6th spectacles, and you're thinking through the lens.
I hate it when I'm wearing my October 6th spectacles. And thank you, it is a fire-ass shirt.
Of October 6th. You fail to understand the severity of the situation, and you're looking at our situation through what's happening on the other side. The fact that there are people who have been displaced, Arabs, Palestinians or Lebanese or whatever, who have been displaced isn't because of Israel. It is because of the horrible oppressive regimes, the terror organizations that use them and brought destruction upon them. On the 6th of October, not a single Gazan was displaced. But after the 7th of October...
By the way, the vast majority of people in Gaza were displaced. They were displaced from other parts of Palestine by you guys, and you'd never offered any meaningful solution to that.
They started a chain reaction of events that unfortunately led to human suffering. But
yeah, I'm supporting Nigel Farage because I think he's hot.
Let's not be confused for even 1 second. The suffering and the horrible things that have happened in Gaza are first and foremost the responsibility of Hamas. And I will go 1 step further, and I will say this. Yes.
My October 31st spectacles say boo. To be fair, I'd be wearing September 11th spectacles, but I was talking about Charlie's death. Obviously, nothing else happened on September the 11th, the day after Charlie Kirk passed away. That is the defining moment of the 21st century.
Palestinian civilians have agency and responsibility. You know how many Palestinians have housed and jailed Israeli hostages for 1.5 years and for 2 years. You know how happy the Palestinians were to assault and to lynch Israeli civilians as they were brought back as hostages to Gaza. You have seen the parades on Gazan streets and on Lebanese streets and on the streets of Ramallah celebrating the massacre of Jews. And I'll remind both of you, if you were in their hands, they would have been as cruel and as subhuman to you as they were to all other Israelis.
I like how the Israeli soldier to them is not cruel and subhuman. The Israelis can never be cruel and subhuman. That is something that is reserved for the Arabs. Also, this is what I've been asked to show on stream, an image of Curious George, or me as Curious George wearing the hat that Curious George often wore. So thank you for that, Ray. That's a fantastic photo.
Your bleeding hearts wouldn't have done you any good. And you remind me of the good people of Nir Oz and many other places who wanted to go and protest for peace and do
Yeah, Jonathan may get thrown off a roof, but that's just because he's an annoying prick.
Demonstrations on the evening of the 7th of October. There was a big demonstration planned. I remember seeing this billboard at the entrance to the dining facility in near Oz, saying that on the evening of the 7th of October, we're all going to Jerusalem. There are buses that are going to be leaving the kibbutz, and we're going to demonstrate for peace to end the occupation and end the conflict with the Palestinians. These are the members of a community.
Yeah, and here you go. Maybe if you'd fucking done that and you'd actually offered some justice to the Palestinians, October the 7th wouldn't have happened. But of course, you don't want to confront that because it tears apart your whole worldview that Arabs are just like guaranteed to be barbarous savages who harm Jewish people for no reason.
That were massacred and desecrated by Hamas and by ordinary Arabs, Palestinians who came in from Gaza to murder, to loot, and to desecrate. So let's not forget who it is that we're fighting. Let's not forget the environment that we are forced to be in. And I'll say this to Gideon. I agree with you. There are things that need to be mended also in the IDF. And I welcome oversight of the media. And I think that the expose done by Haaretz should be investigated by the authorities in the IDF. And if things are verified, then there should be consequences, and there should be personal and disciplinary, and there should be relevant consequences for the establishment. Things that they are written, if they're true, they are serious and they shouldn't happen, even in a fight against an enemy as brutal and as oppressive and as horrible and cruel as Hamas. So, but let's be clear here.
Also, I would love to know what the defining characteristics of Hamas being this brutal, evil entity, because any crime perpetrated by Hamas has obviously been has just been perpetrated by Israel tenfold, and some.
Not think that we are fighting Swiss or Danes or Norwegians. We are fighting some of the most cruel and oppressive terror organizations in the world.
Swiss, Danes, Norwegians. What on earth are you talking about? What, were there no Norwegians who collaborated with the Nazis? Were there no Swiss or Danes who had sympathies for the Nazis? What were they? It's so fucking racist. Just, like, listen to his fucking words. Like, there were Nazi collaborators, yet they are more human than the Arabs.
Who, if they only could, would kill us all, throw the corpses into the sea, and be happy about it, and without batting an eye. That is the environment we live in, and that is why the IDF needs to be strong to defend ourselves against it.
It is actually amazing to hear that statement. Like, the Danes were the Vikings. No pushback, peers. I know, just disgusting.
I don't know why, when we criticize Israel, Jonathan and people like Jonathan think that we're defending Hamas or Hezbollah or Iran. There's no question of the horrors that Hamas committed on October 7th. But Israel also massacred 76,000 people in Gaza and made 2 million people homeless in Gaza. Let's not forget about that. There's a limit to how long you can hold on to the horrors of October 7th. October 7th.
Massacred? Really? We can't... No. What you don't understand is we are civilized Europeans. We don't do subhuman massacres. Edward Said vindicated once again.
It was horrible. Israel had to respond to Hamas. But Israel did not have to wage a war for 2 years.
And yeah. Look, I'm not enough of an expert on Norwegian resistance and collaboration at all. But the point is Norwegians were, of course, capable of that because all human beings are capable of barbaric savagery. The problem is that these people apply that exclusively to Palestinians and Arabs. And yeah, I don't know. George Lucas, remember what the empire was? George, no.
Years in doing that. The whole region wanted Hamas to be disbanded, to be dismembered, to be removed from power. And Israel has allies in the region.
I'll probably just finish up the stream soon if you guys are really hating this.
That it could have worked with to do that. We didn't have to carry on a war for two years, which also killed many of the hostages who were left behind in Gaza because the government of Israel refused to bring them back.
Siren of the Memorial Day that's coming up right now, and I would like to ask your permission. I told your producers that we stand in Israel. We stand in memory of the. It's a 2-minute siren.
Yeah, I'll be the 2-minute siren during that, just going like woo, making noises during that. Shut up, am I doing a memory for Israeli soldiers who got slaughtered perpetrating genocide? Slaughtered, got killed doing genocide, excuse me.
Tomorrow morning. Put aside now those dramatic scenes, really. The standing is tomorrow. Now it's just mentioning that the Memorial Day starts. So, really.
Here, the siren is now.
Siren is now.
This was worth waiting for.
We should remember also the Palestinian victims at this moment.
What is this?
No, you shouldn't desecrate this moment with Palestinians.
Oh my god! Holy shit! No, you shouldn't desecrate this moment with Palestinians. Oh my god. Oh my god. Did you just hear what he fucking said?
You will not tell me whom to remember and whom not. I'm named by someone who was killed in 48, by the way.
Gideon, can you explain to viewers?
By the way, the spokesman of the Israeli army who's on here to explain how it's an outlier what happened with the smashing of a statue, just saying, don't remember Palestinians. Thou shalt not remember Palestinians.
Who may not fully understand what's happening here, why the other three are standing and why you've chosen not to.
I stand when everyone stands in Israel, namely tomorrow at 11, and I will respect all the Israeli soldiers and others who were killed.
Bro, I'm dancing. I ain't standing.
And in the same time, I will think also about our victims. Now, in Israel, it's not usual that people stand because just mentioned.
Actually, they do, Gideon, and I don't know where you invent that from, but yes, you stand.
The Memorial Day starts now. But you know, Israel is so...
I'm standing up and dancing, mate. I ain't standing up and doing silence.
Occupied with death and theology of death. Any opportunity to victimize ourselves is good enough. But I would like, Piers, with your permission, to relate to one thing that Jonathan said. He said, and this was really almost the peak of cynicism that I can think about. He says that until the 6th of October 2023, no Palestinian Gaza was replaced. Have you ever heard a better joke than this? 3/4 of the people in Gaza are sons and grandsons of people who were replaced in 48 from the villages, from the land. How dare you to say that until 6th of October, nobody was replaced in Gaza? They are all refugees from the Nakba who were, part of them, kicked away systematically by planes. And today we saw the files and we know it was a policy. They are living in refugee camps ever since then.
By the way, also, just really funny to shake your head. The military you were part of literally agrees with him.
How dare you say that no one was replaced in Gaza? Really, I mean, I'd
like to answer that.
But just a second, I didn't finish. So first of all, Gaza is a place of a catastrophe which started in 48, not 23 and not 67. And secondly, really,
he sees the birth of the state of Israel, right? He sees the birth of the state of Israel as a catastrophe. He doesn't stand up for the dead soldiers, so he's not really Israeli. He's outside of it. He called himself I would never say it, but he called himself.
Imagine not being called not really Israeli. That's a compliment, bro.
A self-hating Jew, I guess.
Yeah, George Luke Hamas is now back in serious mode.
If the shoe fits, I wouldn't say such a thing, but he said it, and he tells me he doesn't even know when the siren rings, and so he sees the catastrophe in 1948. So he's outside of the picture, and that's why there's not one political party that represents him, not one inside the Knesset. He does not represent Israelis at all. He's a foreign-funded hater, person who's gone completely.
I really like how this guy is like proudly talking about having like a minimum compassion for Palestinians is not represented in Israel. Really? Wait, an IOF soldier spat in your face in NYC and just got away with it? That doesn't surprise me. This is Gideon Levy. He's like a Haaretz columnist.
Off the rails. Okay, we can listen to you. You don't represent anybody.
Just a second, I want to answer. Just a second. If I listen to your accent, I understand you were not born here. So don't tell me who is
Israel. My parents are Russian. Your judgment because you can't.
Your parents are Russian.
Take 5 minutes, look at Wikipedia. That's okay. That's fine.
Born here.
I was born to Russian refused parents.
Israeli is you, and I love Israel.
There's not one party that represents you. You're out.
I hate it when I get in a debate with who loves Israel the most competition. That's one of the toughest days of my life.
You're out. You don't represent anybody. Your ideology is no longer listened to. You're finished. Your ideology is finished.
I agree.
Okay, so you're done.
Ishai, I think you're wrong. I think the Arab parties, they represent him. The Arab parties and the Israeli Knesset, they represent Gideon.
Okay, let me just jump.
By the way, also, multicultural Israel, IOF spokesman going, the Arab parties represent you as an insult.
In here. Let me jump in here, please. Let me jump in here. Let me jump in, please. Excuse me. Let me jump in, please. Please don't all talk over each other. I want to just ask Ishai this question, which is, we hear a lot that Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, and that is what the support should be driven by, is that realization it's the only democracy, has democratic values and so on. And at the same time, you have a lot of people who believe this whole thing in the Middle East will never get resolved until the Palestine issue gets resolved and what many perceive to be the occupation by Israel of Gaza ends.
Incredible, Piers Morgan. Incredible. You know what? I've had enough. I think I'm going to end on Piers Morgan saying, you know, the new voice of the anti-Israel movement saying what many consider to be an occupation. Thanks, Piers. Thanks, Piers, for that one. Not the black kipper making the dude look like his head's half gone. His head is half gone. His brain's fallen out from spending too much time around Ben Gvir. These motherfuckers are so gross. Yeah, it's kind of surprising that Ben Gvir's handler is gross. By the way, also, one of the biggest indictments of Lonerbox is Lonerbox managed to have a cordial conversation with that guy. I'm genuinely still not over that Lonerbox had a cordial conversation with Yishai Fleischer. Lonerbox and Destiny had a tour of the West Bank with that guy. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching, everyone who donated, supported, commented. Thank you as always for being here, and I hope you have a lovely rest of the day. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'll be live. No live Friday. We're recording on Friday. I'll let you know what time I'm live. I'll see you guys later. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely rest of the day.